or better yet, a wood floor.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a crowded room, you're walking in, you make the tuk, tuk,
Yeah.
tuk. You like that?
I like that sound where you close your eyes and you can imagine the type of shoe it is.
Has anyone
But
here ever?
you're wearing this shoe, you know what type
Yeah.
of shoe it is.
Right.
Yeah, well, and somebody else, though. I look forward to hearing other people's shoes.
Do you play the guessing game with the people you're with? Like, guess
the
what kind of
guessing
shoe
game.
those are?
I really don't know.
Oh, wow.
Who amongst us has tap danced?
I have.
Your dad.
Professionally?
Yeah.
Your dad.
No, not professionally.
Gregory Hines.
Just
over
giving
here?
it a whirl, like tried to,
Right.
do the motion.
No.
Yeah.
Greg
That's
Hines. That's exactly
Ooh.
right.
Look at Jess. Tap
What do you
dancer.
mean? You've gone through the motions? Like you've tried it at home? What do
Yeah,
you?
you see it and you think I can do that, and you try.
Right.
You just get it. Well, let's just do it. Let's all just tell. You just kind of get up and you just like. This is not good tapping shoes.
No, you're just No, shuffling no. your
Yeah.
feet. That's all you're doing.
It's not a
And
good
it's
tapping
floor
floor either.
floor, yeah, it's
the
not
floor's not
good.
good for it.
Do you have tap shoes at home, Bill?
No,
No.
no. But
I do like the sound that a tap dancing
Yeah.
shoe makes.
I
Yes.
fancy
It's very satisfying.
tap dancing shoes, but I've never owned a pair.
It's an underrated sound. You're right. The sound of the tap, the shoes hitting the floor is a very underrated sound. Now I'm trying to think of more underrated sounds.
You know what sound I don't like?
What?
I don't know the name of the material, but like the classic, like old school, like warm up clothes that you wear. That it's like the windbreaker material where like your legs are like hitting each other when you're walking and it makes
What
like
is
that weird.
Polyester?
Is it polyester? I don't think it is. Windbreaker material. I think that's what it says on the tag.
Stugotz, yesterday we played Underrated Feelings, and I thought of one last
Oh,
night.
really? Okay.
When you're putting in a password and you're a little unsure and you nail it the first time.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
It is good.
That's an excellent one. Greg, we were doing. I was giving my top 5 underrated feelings yesterday, and I think number 2. And really, I was driving home. I spent a good portion of my drive thinking about this. I had number 2. When you drink a lot the night before, you wake up, you're not nearly as hungover as you thought you were going to be. And you've experienced that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, occasionally.
That should probably be number 1. Like
Yeah.
that's such a great feeling.
Dad, do you even get hungover at this point?
Yeah, I wake up with dull, throbbing headaches.
Just every day?
No. What do you take?
I mean, because you get after the Miller Lights pretty regularly, and I can't ever remember a time in my life where you woke up and you're like, "Oh, I'm hungover," or do you just hide it?
Sometimes I wake up and it's a little bit tough in the morning, but it goes away. I'm not a person prone to headaches, so if I wake up with a headache, it dissolves on its own. I'm not one of these aspirin chewers. But an underrated feeling for me, you have this when you're a school kid a lot, but you also have it in adulthood,
Right.
where you wake up and damn, another work day, and then you realize it's Saturday.
That was yeah. Someone brought that.
That
up
was one of
yesterday.
Whitney's.
Oh yeah,
It's a great one.
yeah, totally. I'm sorry I didn't hear that.
I know when it's Saturday though. I don't know. Like it's never happened to me. Like
Oh
You
really?
know what's also great? So you have an early wake up, right? So you know you're going to be waking up in the dark, and you open up your eyes and go, "Oh no, it's time. I have to get out of bed now." And you turn over, you look at your stove, and you realize there's 3 hours left to sleep. It's
Yes.
2:30 in the morning,
Yes.
and you get to keep sleeping. When you wake up at 5:30, you feel like you've had a full
What's
night's
the
rest.
line of
Yeah.
demarcation? Like, what's the line? Like, what's the time that you're like, shit, I don't have that much more time to
Like
sleep?
40 minutes. For me, if you have like 40 minutes left to sleep, you're like,
For me,
this-
I need
these
more than
40
2
minutes
like,
are going to fly.
If I have an hour and 40 minutes left to sleep, I'm a little discouraged. Like, it needs to be over 2 hours. If I have 2 hours left to sleep, I'm like feeling really good about it.
I'm good with 45 minutes or more. But the opposite feeling is that if you set your alarm for 8 a.m. and your body clock goes off and you look at the alarm and it's 7:57, that's awful.
Ugh,
Do I lay back down for 3 minutes? Do I get up? What the hell's going on?
Chris, when you do that, you wake up 2 a.m, stare at the stove, realize you got plenty of time to sleep. You go back. First off, you snuggle a little bit more under your
Yes.
blanket, right?
You
Yes?
like you kind of nestle your way
Yeah,
into the
yes,
sheets
yes,
even more. You're
yes.
like you're really in there.
It's like going back to bed again, right? Like for the first time. But you also go back to sleep with a smile on your face, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's nothing worse than sleep interference. For instance, when Claire wakes up in the middle of the night and just storms into our bedroom and then gets on the bed and then wakes everybody up.
Yeah. Being a dad, though, Roy. I mean,
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell you, take it slow, enjoy those moments. Eventually, they'll be 17 years old and they'll hate your guts. Okay. So,
I got a hot take about waking up. I enjoy waking up on Friday mornings when I have to. Well, for us, this is weird because we haven't been recording on Fridays. But a Friday morning when you have to work is better to wake up than a Sunday morning. Because Sunday morning, I enjoy Saturdays so much that when I wake up on Sunday, I'm like, oh, it's over. The weekend's over.
Wow, that's early to have that dread. For me, it's always when 60 Minutes starts.
Oh,
That's when you experience the dread of my
Yes.
weekend is over.
Yes.
60 Minutes is on.
No, it's the first
60
time you're watching like the Sunday 4:00 game on CBS, and right around halftime is the first time you'll see that goddamn clock. That is when it starts, and it's just ticking down, and that's where it sets in. At least for me.
60 minutes is next, except on the West Coast, and like, damn.
It is a great sound, though. The 60 Minutes clock. It's a great sound.
A clock ticking is a great sound.
But it's they must have gotten a specific clock sound because I've never heard a clock tick like that, and that is so distinct.
Yeah,
It makes me happy.
Yeah, that stopwatch though is 60 years old.
Yeah. I will say though, for me, so it used to be 60 Minutes. I actually think it's been updated to the touchdown montage. The touchdown montage on the Red Zone channel. Once it's done,
right.
it's like that's actually my hangover. My hangover is I've just binged 7 hours of football,
Right.
and it's over. And Scott Hansen just took me through every touchdown, up to including a fullback dive in Carolina. And it's like, wow, this whole day just flashed before me, and now it's over.
Well, what's worse? Is it the 60-minute promo with the clock, or is it Mike's text saying 8 a.m. tomorrow morning?
That is the most sobering text that you get every Sunday night. 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
I think I'm just thinking of my own prism here because my Sundays are engulfed with Greg Cody shit.
Thank
Greg
you.
Cody podcast shit.
Damn right. For which you were well remunerated, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Or remunerated.
What
What's
happened?
that word?
Oh,
Great word, remunerated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, you could say paid,
Yeah.
or you could say remunerated.
When you
Did,
pronounce it correctly, it's even better.
you can't mispronounce paid.
No, you really can't.
Well, you can. But
Yeah.
how do you guys feel about sleeping on or stepping on crunchy leaves?
Like it.
Greg,
Ooh,
yes.
Oh my
Love it.
God.
That's a great one, right?
Stugotz, the fall, I thrive in the fall. I get
Yeah.
my pumpkin spice latte. I
Yeah.
put on a nice cozy sweater, go
don't
outside.
get a
The
lot of that
air is
here.
crisp. It's cool. You
Mm.
finally put on jeans for the first time in like 6 months.
It's a nice
And then you
feeling.
go outside and you step on some crunchy leaves,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
foliage.
PSL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about the snap of a twig? Am I right?
Oh, snap
Oh,
of a twig.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Snapping it.
Snapping it.
How do you feel about scratching a mosquito bite?
Hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate it.
You're
Really?
not
don't
supposed.
like it.
It makes it worse. You're not supposed to scratch them.
Oh, but
You know
it
what?
feels so
You
good.
know what is a life hack that no one does this except me. Like I've never met another person who does this, even though it's what it's for. Buying anti-itch cream for mosquito bites. It makes them go away in like a few hours. Yes.
A few
And then
hours.
they're not itchy. And every person I know just scratches them and is miserable. I always buy the stuff like the Benadryl cream and just put it on and it's fine. No, why does no one else do this?
Calamine lotion works for that as well.
The pink stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, scratching a bug bite is a great feeling. And you're not actually scratching the bite. You take two fingers and you kind of scratch around the bite. You know how it
Yes.
works? You know, everyone knows that move.
Yeah.
It's what I was saying, kind of like with athlete's foot. You know?
Well,
I know it's disgusting, but I'm telling you, when you have athlete's foot and you get that sock off and you scratch it, it's the best feeling in the world.
Ugh. Tough acting tonight.
Yes. I'm foul.
I don't know if men do this because you guys tend to have shorter nails, but I always like puncture, like I poke my like mosquito bites with my nails.
Ugh.
It's very weirdly satisfying. Can't explain it.
Isn't it painful?
No,
Really?
not at all. It's just I don't know. It's just very satisfying. It's like a Dr. Pimple Popper type satisfaction.
That
Speaking of
causes
satisfying-
inflammation, doesn't it? Like inflammation? Inflammation.
I thought you said information. I'm
No,
sorry.
inflammation.
I don't think it causes inflammation. I think it just, I don't know. It just is fun to watch. It's just a weird little thing that I do. I think other people do it too. Everyone's got their thing.
Here's an underrated feeling when you have something stuck in your teeth or your gums and you finally get it out.
Yes.
Oh,
You know what's the worst here? I have a water pick. And it's basically just shooting pressurized water into your mouth to get everything out. And so I have used a water pick after eating a bag of popcorn, a full container of water,
Right.
pressurized, and there's still a shard of a kernel in there.
It drives you crazy.
For me, getting the shard of the kernel out of your teeth is the greatest. And like you also have to like fight with like your fingers to get in there to grab it before it like ends up stuck there again or you swallow it. Like getting that little shard of kernel out, unbelievable feeling.
But
Billy, didn't you almost blind yourself with a water pick?
I did. Yeah, that's true. I shot myself in the eye with a water pick by accident.
We've all done it.
I was deciding to multitask and I was showering and I said, you know what's a good time to water pick now that I'm in the shower. Sometimes I brush my teeth in the shower, you know?
What?
Yeah, lots of water going. You say, you know what? 2 birds, 1 stone. So I was water picking. It was a Sunday. Not that you need to know
Well,
that.
we already discussed that you should not rinse your mouth with water after brushing your teeth.
No,
So
please get out of here.
this is a waste.
What do you mean? You're not
Doctor
supposed to
You're
do
not
that?
supposed to rinse your
What are you supposed to do?
just spit.
What do you, and just let
TikTok
that
said
taste?
You're not
Yep.
supposed to spit out the
Started doing that.
fluoride.
TikTok said it?
TikTok.
Oh,
The
TikTok.
TikTok.
Mm.
Okay.
TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
The doctor on TikTok.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So you just spit and you spit and you spit and you let the toothpaste take effect in your mouth.
Never knew that. I always rinse.
Don't
I always
rinse.
rinse. You got to
Not
rinse.
from this day forward.
How many times do you rinse? This is a very tricky question here because I think 3 sips of water is plenty, but my friends swear that 5 is the perfect amount. They do.
I just rinse once, and it's the water that cups in my palm. I don't use a cup.
Oh, I use a cup.
No, I just go like this.
No, I
A
fill up
cup?
a cup. Yeah, I rinse.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it's a hand.
No, I
Yeah,
when I
a
was
hand.
when I was a
No.
rinser, it's a hand.
No, I splash it around, I spit it out, I do it again 3 times, and then I drink like a half a glass of water. That's how I do it.
So you have a cup
Monsters
in the bathroom.
use
You
cups.
drink like you're swallowing it then.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. The last one, the
What?
last sip.
Is that what
What?
they cup?
What are you doing?
Listen to me. I have these little Dixie cups in my
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yes,
okay?
love those.
You have the dispenser?
No, I do not have the dispenser.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Gotta
Is,
get one.
is
Wish
this
I
what the
had one.
glass?
Game
There's like a
changer.
glass next to the sink in hotels.
Yeah,
is
that's
that what
that's
this is for?
Yeah.
Really?
You drink the
What did
water?
you think? Yeah, what did you think it was for?
I thought it was for like, you know, you take it out so you can have a glass of water at
Like you're
night.
taking a shit, you want to drink some Coke or something? It's just
No,
there for your
they
convenience?
They just put the glasses in the bathroom, but you actually used it to have a glass of water at night. I don't.
What would it
Why
use
would
it in
they-
the bathroom.
Why,
What do you
why would they keep it in
mean?
the bathroom?
I don't know. Just out of view, I guess. Or we don't have.
See, I was
don't know.
aware that those
Put it in
that
the closet.
that some people like it's an old thing to do that. I think people in like the 60s would like take a sip of water and then spit it out.
Well, what I do is I fill up the Dixie cup and I splash it around and then I spit that out and then I do it again and then I do it again and then I drink like half a cup of like a Dixie cup of water and I splash it around a little and I swallow it.
Stugotz, respectfully, I'm not going to take dental advice from someone who's had 16 root canals this
That's
year.
Wow.
true.
That's
That is-
fair.
that's true.
Respectfully.
Right.
Like, she just got here and she
Respectfully.
already knows about that.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a good
How many
point.
of them were real ones? Unsure, but there was at least one actual root canal.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
seed of every lie is a truth.
I took a picture. I sent it to Billy that I was in the dentist's office, but it's one of those pictures I have. I just have them in my photo
He has
album.
stock,
just-
he has stock emergency
Yeah.
photos.
Do you have a folder? You have a folder in your photos that's called alibis.
Funny. Greg, what are your feelings here on the Dolphins, the reports that the Dolphins are still interested, even with everything swirling around Deshaun Watson, there's still some interest here, reportedly, that the Dolphins have in the Texans quarterback. How does that make you? How does it make you feel? Because I want to play some sound from Brian Flores, who spoke yesterday and was asked about Deshaun Watson, and we'll hear his response together. But I first want to get your feelings on the situation overall.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they end up making that trade for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the asking price is too high given all of the stuff surrounding him legally. And number two, you know, Flores is on record, and he said it again yesterday, and not for the first time, that they want high character people throughout that building, I think was his exact quote.
Sure.
And you can't preach character and sign Deshaun Watson. You just can't. And so it's sort of a litmus. Not to mention the third factor is that they've spent a year and a half testifying how much faith they have, how much confidence they have in Tua, and all that sort of becomes a lie if they spend so much to get, of all people, Deshaun Watson.
Well, they say that because they have to say that about Tua. If you take all the off-field stuff away from Deshaun Watson, it would make perfect sense to go after a generational type quarterback, a guy who's 25 years old, who could be your quarterback for the next 15 years. So I understand, like, every team does that. Hey, we believe in the guy that we
Right.
drafted right up until there's someone who's better that's available, and then suddenly you don't believe in Tua anymore. Here's Brian Flores being asked about the type of character they want inside that building.
And I think there's with any player on our team, honestly, any person in the organization, there's a standard of, we have a standard of the way we want people to look, I mean, we have a high standard for the people we have in the organization. So I don't get into last strikes or anything. We just, we want the people with high character and throughout the building. And
All right, so he wasn't asked directly about Deshaun Watson, but Flores knows exactly what that question was about. It was about Deshaun Watson and his character.
Right.
Two things there that stood out to me. One, you had an opportunity, again, to your point, to say, no, Tua's our guy.
Yes.
That's it. He is our guy, okay? He was one of the most touted quarterbacks to ever come out of college. We drafted him. He is our guy. He hasn't had a full season yet, hasn't had a full training camp yet. This year he's going to get it. He had an opportunity to do it there, and he wasted it. Here's where he kind of left himself open for some criticism, Greg. If Deshaun Watson settles this thing out of court and he's free to play football and the Dolphins go get him, settling out of court does not mean that you're a high character guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky spot that Flores has put himself in, because if he does indeed settle this out of court and you have him on record saying, hey, we want high character guys, there are going to be a lot of people saying, hey, just because they were willing to settle out of court doesn't mean Deshaun Watson is not, is a guy full of character.
Right.
He's not. He's clearly done some stuff.
It just means you've thrown a bunch of money to make the problem go away, even though the problem of character never goes away from Deshaun Watson at this point, no matter what the outcome is. But here's the thing. No matter how this plays out in terms of civil suits, in terms of whether or not a criminal charge is ever filed, there's still a strong likelihood that the NFL is going to mete out some punishment. I'm guessing perhaps an 8-game suspension or something. And that's a factor. To me, if you're trading for Deshaun Watson, you have to have some safety net in the deal, some protection, such as if he's suspended for an entire season, if he doesn't play this season because of the legal issue, and he doesn't play next season because of a suspension, not likely, but possible, you're still going to pay 3 first-round draft picks and 2 seconds for this guy? I don't think so.
I completely agree, though, with Stugotz's point, though, which is you cannot come out and talk about character and acquire Deshaun Watson. Correct. It would have to be a complete and total exoneration, right? Which seems almost impossible at this point.
Almost impossible.
Almost impossible at this point.
You can't say what you said yesterday and then go get Deshaun Watson because he settled out of court.
I mean, unless you're just completely okay with being a hypocrite, which I guess can happen, right? Like you can talk out of both sides of your mouth. Like, what's your obligation to talk about the truth or to be consistent, right? It looks bad, but I agree. Like, I think that you completely neuter your own ability to go out and acquire this guy if you're saying these things. You have to, and I agree also with your message that it has to also be back with a more full-throated support of Tua.
Right.
Because if you're saying that, you're probably not thinking about bringing Deshaun Watson in. And if you're not thinking about bringing Deshaun Watson in, you need to say that.
Yes.
You need to back Tua here.
They haven't said it.
I think NFL coaches are totally fine with being hypocrites. Look at last year when Bruce Arians was getting all of this credit for having women on his staff and hiring black candidates as coordinators, and then said, we're going to sign Antonio Brown if he is exonerated in this civil lawsuit, even though Antonio Brown was accused of sexual assault by 2 women. And Antonio Brown ended up signing with the Bucs, played in the Super Bowl, and is back on the Bucs this season.
And the fans don't care, because when Antonio Brown makes a big play in Tampa Bay, they're not thinking about what he did off the field. They're only focused on what he is doing currently on the field, and they cheer him. And I'm not blaming fans for doing that. I've said this forever. There are people on your favorite sports teams, you have no idea what's in their past. You have no idea what they're doing when they're not playing the sport that you love and that you watch. You have no idea. We have rooted for horrible people throughout time, and we'll continue to do so because we care about the teams and we care about our feel-good. We don't care about them.
There are examples of this all over the NFL and probably all over sports. I mean, a big reason the Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender every year is that they signed Tyreek Hill, who in college pleaded guilty to battering his pregnant girlfriend. Right. And the first time he appeared on the field after they signed him, he got booed by the fans. And then the touchdowns started and the winning started, and he ain't booed anymore in Kansas City. And signing Deshaun Watson would be very polarizing. There would be a lot of Dolphin fans who loved it and a lot of Dolphin fans who hated it and who stood ready to boo Deshaun Watson. But if he's the player he was last season for the Dolphins and they start winning and all of a sudden they look like they might be a Super Bowl contender because of Deshaun Watson, Fans ain't booing him anymore.
Right.
And that's the reality. That doesn't mean the Dolphins should sign him. I don't think they should, but that's what we can expect if they do sign that. Some initial, people being aghast and booing and picketing, but that goes away quickly.
I agree, though, with your assessment. Or I'm sorry, I disagree with your assessment that you think this is black and white, that it's like, yes, we do probably root for guys who are not great people. But I do think that sports fans have become more conscientious as we learn more about the off-the-field lives, as we, follow guys on social media, as we understand, really through the vehicle of football. I think the conversation about domestic violence changed in this country because of the vehicle of football, because of what happened with Ray Rice. I think that was a huge changer of public opinion on that subject. So I do think that football fans have become more conscientious, but it's hard to be morally consistent unless you just give this thing up, right? Unless you give up from the business of rooting for other people to do well, because other people will disappoint you in some way.
Right.
And so you can't tie your emotional feelings into the team that I'm rooting for is not only good at this sport that I really like, but they also are good people. I'm rooting for good people who represent my values, because it's hard for a group of 53 people and staff and organization and owners to represent who you are as a person.
But Chris, what I am, excuse me, pick that up. Chris, what I am saying is, yes, pick that up and take that out. Thank you. What I am saying is we have rooted for people on teams that haven't been caught for some of the things that we do.
Sure.
You've rooted for bad people before. I've rooted for bad people. I remember having this conversation with Sarah Spain, okay, when the Cubs finally won that World Series, and they did so by getting Aroldis Chapman, right? And Sarah Spain said, yeah, I knew it was in his past, and she's, Chris, no one pays more attention to this stuff and takes it more seriously than Sarah. We all know her very well on this show. And she's like, yeah, I was upset when the Cubs got him, but it didn't stop me from cheering when he closed the game out in the World Series. Like, it's just the way fans are, right?
Why is our standard so low, though? Like, why does it have to be that we can't have 53 people on a roster that are all not accused of a crime?
Because pick any random sample of 53 people in life.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know. Okay, I don't think statistically that's accurate. I think you can find 53 people in life, and none of them have been accused of sexual misconduct by 22 women.
No. You said a crime, any crime. It doesn't have to be that crime, any crime. I'm saying there are guys who have done that. You've rooted for teams. Smetty, you went to Notre Dame. You don't think you ever rooted for a guy who did anything terrible off the field?
Of course I did. I'm asking why that's our standard, though. Why are we okay with that? Why are we okay with saying, okay, Deshaun Watson is terrible, and fans are still going to root for him anyways, because what are you going to do? There's only so many people that are good enough to play football in this league. Why is that our standard? That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's not that this is our standard. I would prefer that the Dolphins didn't have Deshaun Watson. I would prefer that the Dolphins didn't have anyone who I disagree with, but it's just a reality, right? Like, and this is the conversation about Deshaun Watson is, do you come to terms with, as a sports fan, being okay with this? Because at varying points along the line, you are going to have to be. And it sucks.
But why do we have to be? That's my question. Why do we have to be?
Do you want to give the thing up?
Why is that the option? Give up watching sports or root for people you don't like?
Because that's just how life works. Like,
I mean,
why? I'm asking why.
I don't know. It's the case.
Are you asking why should... Are you saying Deshaun Watson should not be allowed to play football anymore? What? Be clear exactly what it is you're saying here. Why? What? Why do we have to settle for...
I think she's just expressing like in an idealistic world, you wouldn't have to make moral choices. But how often have we had to make them, right?
Yeah.
If you're Baltimore Ravens fans eventually ended up backing Ray Rice. I'm not speaking for all both, but there were some who were like, I'm going to defend my guy. And that's what sports fans do. You defend your guy. And so I agree with Jess in one respect, which is it sucks. But it's the case.
Right.
And we have to, I think the conversation that we've had over 2 days is, on which side do you fall? Are you going to not root for the Dolphins if Deshaun Watson is your quarterback? I think that's a legitimately interesting conversation to have. And unfortunately, it is one in sports, in every sport. It's just the case.
My feeling, though, just going back to Flores for a second, is he boxed himself in from this standpoint. Flores appears to be a man who is very principled. Dolphin fans have grown to love him, right?
Yep.
Now, maybe they'll get off to a 1-4 start, and that will evaporate quickly, okay? But he's a principled man. And so he boxed himself in a little bit where he said, we only want high-character guys around here. But yet he's not closing the door on Deshaun Watson. You can't say we only want high-character guys and then not close the door on someone who's going through all of this. off the field. You get like it's ridiculous, and he just will not give Tua an inch. He just will not support him.
If you say we want nothing but high character guys, maybe you say that because you sort of are shutting the door on Deshaun Watson without feeling the need to say it specifically, because his track record is not commenting on rumors and speculation, and he's been pretty consistent with that in the past couple of days. And
so you think there's a chance where Flores was saying, we're not going to get that guy. I want high character guys. We're not going to get that guy. But then come out and say Tua's our quarterback already.
Well, but he is saying that.
Right.
He's saying
that's fair. I mean, Greg, maybe you're right.
He's saying we're very confident in Tua, quote unquote. But he's also being honest, which is why the media loves Brian Flores, and I think fans do. He's saying Tua needs to improve in certain areas. He needs to be better in certain areas, but he's our guy. We're very confident in him. I think that's the truth at this point. I expect them to ride with Tua and not sign Deshaun Watson. Now, if Deshaun Watson had none of this legal cloud, would they be much more interested? Of course. And if he were free and clear with his reputation and his immediate future, I wouldn't object to the Dolphins spending that kind of money because he is a generational player.
Right.
And he's a two-way player. He's a dual threat.
And he's 25.
He's about to turn 26. He's coming into his prime. So, of course, they would upgrade with Deshaun, but so much is going on with him. You know, I'm never going to cheer for Trevor Bauer again, the baseball pitcher, and there's going to be a lot of Dolphin fans who, if they sign Tua, would cancel their season tickets and would draw a moral stand.
If they sign Watson. Yeah.
If they sign Watson, right.
But Bauer's a good example because I promise you, if he goes back to the Dodgers, wherever he goes, he's pitching in a big game. It's just what fans do.
Right.
Instinctively, they're going to cheer if something good happens for their team. They're not cheering for Bauer. They're cheering for the Dodgers.
Right.
And that's what Sarah would say. I wasn't necessarily cheering for Chapman. I was cheering for the Cubs, who hadn't won a World Series in 100 years.
Sure.
So I was excited. That's interesting. So maybe Flores was saying, hey, no, we're not going to take Watson. Because he can't speak, like he can't talk about him by name.
Right.
You can't ask by name. You can't talk. He's on someone else's team.
Of course.
So maybe that's what he's saying. Hey, we only want high character guys. But here's what I would tell Brian Flores. You have no idea if the 52 guys in your locker room are really high character guys. You don't know what they're doing off the field.
Okay.
Is he with them every second of the day?
I think
my favorite team was the 86 Mets team, okay? That team, they were a bunch of bad guys on that team.
Right. From
Strawberry to Gooden to Lenny bleeping Dykstra. Best year of my life. Greg, we have some breaking news. Big breaking news. Like really big breaking news.
Yep.
I don't know why I sound so surprised, but I'm surprised. It feels
occasionally news breaks during the show.
It feels like we haven't had breaking news around this show for a while, perhaps because we start at like 7 a.m.
Except for that one time that you brought breaking news. It wasn't actually breaking news because it was a fake Sports Center report.
It was a fake Schefter report.
It was Todd Gurley going to the Ravens.
That's right. Yeah. Where's Gurley? You know? No one knows where Todd Gurley is.
He's looking for work.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Where's Todd Gurley?
I think Atlanta.
No, he's a free agent, isn't he?
He is indeed. He's still a free agent.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in Atlanta.
He was in Atlanta.
He's
yes.
27.
I know. So strange.
He was like the most dominant running back in the league 3 years ago.
I picked him like first overall. Was it 3 years ago? Feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah. The year they went to the Super Bowl. He was the first pick in just about everyone's draft. It's crazy. That's not the breaking news. The breaking news is not that we don't know where Todd Gurley is. Okay? The breaking news, the Patriots have released Cam Newton, which I am surprised because you have Belichick now going with a rookie quarterback. That's not the reason I'm surprised. The last time I saw Cam Newton, it was a Thursday night game, perhaps the first preseason game. And I remember coming in the next day and telling Mike and telling Dan, that's the Cam Newton I saw when he was the MVP of the league. Like there was zip on the ball. He looked like he was excited to be there. He wasn't struggling, just merely getting up from the huddle and going to call the play on offense. Cam looked like he was back. And so I guess I'm surprised from that regard because he looked really good. And then now you have Bill Belichick doing what he's done once before that kind of worked out pretty well for him, going with a rookie quarterback. He didn't do it with Brady, but Bledsoe was the quarterback, ended up getting hurt late in that season. Brady took over as a rookie, took the Patriots to a Super Bowl. So Bill Belichick knows he can get it done with a rookie guy because he's done it before. And Mac Jones has made quite the impression on that team. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised Mac Jones won that job. I am surprised they're just cutting Newton outright.
He's not good. Like, what, are you guys thinking of Cam Newton from years ago? Like, he wasn't good last year.
No, but Chris, in a COVID world, to have that guy as your backup is probably a pretty smart play, right? Now you're stuck with Brian Hoyer, but they've always been stuck with Brian Hoyer.
Right, forever.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, ideally you want experienced backup behind your young quarterback. I mean, the Dolphins signed Jacoby Brissett when they lost Ryan Fitzpatrick because they wanted somebody who's got starting experience, just in case, in case of emergency, break glass, and Jacoby Brissett steps out. I think Cam Newton still has some life in his career. I'd be surprised if he wasn't signed pretty quickly.
You said in a COVID world, but didn't he just get put on like the COVID close
He's not
contact
vaccinated.
list a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Do you think that has anything to do with him
I
getting
do.
cut?
I do. Belichick seems to rely on reliability. You got to be available.
Yeah.
I can't be questioning whether or not I can trust that you're going to be available every
Yeah,
week.
but Chris, it's a combination of, I'm certain that played into the decision, but it's a combination of Mac Jones has to be really good. He
Yeah.
has seen enough of Mac
I
Jones where
agree.
he is confident enough that guy's going to be my quarterback for the next decade.
Do you think, Tony just mentioned this back here, do you think there's any chance that this is actually the Patriots being nice to Cam Newton and he said, if I'm not going to start, cut me?
Perhaps.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a good call because
Yeah.
I think there will probably be better backup jobs around the NFL where if you go into a team that maybe has an uncertain quarterback situation or an unvaccinated quarterback starting, that he as a backup can have a greater opportunity to play. Because my guess is that I agree. I think Mac Jones has probably won this job, and barring injury, you're not going to sit him, right? Like once you make this choice
Right.
to cut Cam Newton, you're like,
Yes.
we're fully in.
No, he's going with
And
Mac
so,
Jones.
So you're
yes.
telling Cam Newton, I'm fully in on Mac Jones. You're not going to start. And so he's probably thinking, all right, well, if that's the case, then can I go somewhere else where I can play?
Yeah, but the more I think about it, Bill Belichick's not going to do something. If he thinks Cam Newton is his second best option at quarterback, he's not just going to cut him just to be nice to Cam
Right.
Newton.
Especially because he's on a favorable contract there, if I remember what he said.
I don't know. I
disagree.
can see Belichick respecting Cam Newton enough where he's like, hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity here to go sign with a team that you want to sign with.
I think the Jimmy Garoppolo example is instructive here. He could have gotten more for Jimmy Garoppolo,
and sent him to a good situation.
specifically sent him
Yes.
to Kyle Shanahan because he
Yes.
wanted him to succeed.
Correct. While you have Belichick just being a bleep hole to everyone.
I just think that he thinks of the team first. I think like he might do something like that if he thinks that it. Like I just feel like if he genuinely thought Cam was his second best option, he might not give him up.
No, I think he's secretly a really nice guy that I'd want to be friends
Right,
with.
right.
I got that impression after seeing that movie about him and Saban together on HBO or whatever
Yes.
it was.
Yeah.
I really like Belichick.
So do I.
Saban, not so much. My
Yeah.
opinion on him didn't change much. I said, you know what? He's still Nick Saban. But Belichick, see him at his daughter's wedding, see him smiling and dancing. I'm like, this is a guy that I think that I could get along with.
Yes.
Don't talk too much to each other. We just kind of have a thing. We nod, and that's what we do as best friends. Just kind of nod at each other and keep on with our lives.
Unspoken communication.
Mhm.
Yes. And you're comfortable with the silence. That's the
Those are the
beauty of
best
it.
kind of friends. The
Yes.
ones that you talk to once every like 3 or 4 years, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?
Right.
Good." I'm like, good, yeah. Then you're like, "All right, see you in 3 years."
That's great.
Yeah, very proud to see my daughter getting married tonight.
Wow,
Wow. What are you doing?
that was a fake Belichick, and I'm here for it.
Bill, why'd you release Cam? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Around to Seattle.
Oh, to see.
Miami, I think.
Yeah, they're playing Miami
Playing the
opening day of the
Seattle of the South.
I've heard that.
Why? Kick Saban a butte.
Yeah, thank you. Where do you think Cam goes? So now Cam Newton is essentially a free agent. 10 days before, 10 days before the NFL
Let's all
season
guess.
starts.
Let's all predict.
Oh, I love the guessing game. Is there anything better than a good guessing game with a big free agent?
With no information.
With zero information
31
whatsoever.
teams are a possibility here,
Yes, well,
and you got to pick one.
I don't know if 31 are. You can take
Why?
the Packers out. You can take
Why?
the Chiefs out. I don't think because Cam wants to start. Cam wants to go somewhere where Cam thinks he can start.
Well, he thinks he can start. I don't think Cam's starting.
No, I think there are
No.
some teams where Cam could start.
There's
Really?
one city.
Where?
Denver.
Are you okay? Yeah.
What
Pardon
if
me.
Hold on.
he goes?
Hold on. Let him.
No,
You okay, Greg?
gather himself.
Denver makes a lot of sense. I would rather have Cam Newton as my starting quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I would.
No, I would too. I'm with Greg on that. I think
No,
Denver
you
makes
have
perfect
not,
sense.
Greg, you have not watched Drew Lock play.
New England last
Seen
year.
him when he plays. I
New
mean,
No
England
one
last
has.
year-
He barely plays.
New England last year had 3 games in December to try and compete to get into the playoffs. Here were the results: Rams 24, Patriots 3, Dolphins 22, Patriots 12, Buffalo 38, Patriots 9, Cam Newton in that Buffalo game, 5 of 10 for 34 yards. He was bad last season. There were times where it didn't look like he can complete a 15-yard pass, would throw it 3 yards into the ground ahead of the intended wide receiver. You're thinking of a player that doesn't exist. I don't think he can start for a team. Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Cam Newton.
Stop it.
Yes,
I
he is.
disagree.
Stop it right
He was
now.
good. He was decent for Carolina last year. They won
Stop
6 or
it.
7 games.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. He wears a glove. Who dropped in the 50%?
Nah.
You know who needs a backup quarterback?
Who?
Carolina.
You know who needs a starting quarterback? The Colts.
The Colts is a decent shout.
Going back to Carolina is not a bad shout either.
No, I feel like it's one of those things where it's hard. Like when Dwayne Wade came back, he had to
Hold
accept.
on.
Came back to Miami, he had to accept being a bench player. Like you've got to get to a certain stage before you accept being a bench player on your former team when you achieve so much for your former team.
Doesn't his former coach in Carolina need a quarterback? Ron Rivera? Don't tell me Ryan Fitzpatrick's a quarterback, please.
Listen,
He's
better than Cam
I would
Newton.
much
Cam
rather
Newton
have
had the best year
I
he ever
would-
had under Ron Rivera.
In like 2008.
No, 2015.
Big difference.
It did
Sounds better when you go further
It's-
back.
Oh, absolutely. No, you played it well. I'm proud of you.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is a better player than Cam Newton is right now.
No, come on.
Ryan
man.
Fitzpatrick almost took his team to the playoffs last year.
Almost took his team to the playoffs last year.
They were the Patriots were bad last year. They took a significant step back with Cam Newton as their starting quarterback.
Okay, but what are you doing with? Did you watch the game that I keep pointing out where Cam Newton looked like MVP Cam Newton?
So you want me to take his preseason sample over the 2 or 3 years we've had of him post injuries where he has not looked nearly the same player?
But what-
Last year he was awful.
But what sample are you using with Drew Lock or Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold's been awful.
Sam Darnold has been better than Cam
Younger,
Newton.
more upside. What's the most you're going to get out of Cam now? He's not going to turn into this great thrower. He can't stay healthy.
He started in 4 games last year where he didn't eclipse 100 yards.
He was bad last year. There's no
He had
question
8
about it.
touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He had 3 of those touchdowns in a meaningless game at the end of the season against the Jets. So really, in the season, when it counted, he had 5 passing touchdowns with 10 interceptions.
Yeah,
what are we talking about?
Yeah, Belichick brought him back again.
To compete with a first-round pick,
We're talking
and
about
he lost,
2015. That's what we're talking
and he
about.
got cut because he's bad now.
But last season, didn't he also have like a big COVID issue? Like he got really sick, and then when he came back
Yes.
from COVID, he was like not the same anymore. Like he
Yeah.
was
Right.
slower, and he was having like some real difficulties with that.
If they ask Brian Flores about this, you
Oh,
think he
God.
flat out says, like, I'm not interested, or he puts the pressure on Tua with Cam Newton?
We did kind of bury the lead here. Week 1, Alabama quarterbacks head to head. Tua, Mac Jones. Is that exciting?
Wow.
Huh?
I get
Wow. That is
Huh?
exciting.
Do you want to do our guesses? Where's
Huh?
Cam going?
I'm trying to figure out where he's going. That's what I'm looking at right now.
I'm still guessing Denver.
Mine is Baltimore.
If you're gonna do backups, Baltimore's a good spot. Carolina's a good spot. No doubt. The Vikings is a very good spot if you're gonna look at just as a backup, right? Because Kirk Cousins is gonna start there. They're paying him so much money.
Did we talk about Houston yet? I know Tyrod Taylor is their starter,
Oh,
but
Houston's actually a
their
pretty good one.
quarterback room, though
That's pretty
full,
good.
is not a good quarterback room.
Well, I mean, your quarterback room is never good when the best one in it is Tyrod Taylor.
Right.
So, I mean, so yeah, to your point, I think that's actually a pretty good spot. Man, Philadelphia.
What do you guys think Cam is having for breakfast this morning? My money's on humble pie.
Why humble pie?
Not really a breakfast food.
It's not. It's a dessert.
Right.
What about Tampa Bay just for fun?
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, just to get him a ring.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea by Billy.
He might start there.
Come again?
He could start there.
How?
What was the team you said?
Tampa.
Brady's getting old.
Been getting old for about 15 years.
What are you doing with Cam Newton?
And COVID in Tampa.
Are you just like, is it just because Cam Newton's
Billy,
a name?
I gotta be honest with Billy. I lost my train of thought. That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We saw that. Yeah.
Very good. I forgot what team he said, but Tampa would be a good one. Backup in Tampa. Who is the backup in Tampa?
Blaine
right
Gabbert right now.
Oh wow!
Wait, to answer
that
your
would
question-
be a major upgrade. Imagine if Brady has to sit for a game or two because everyone in Tampa is on the COVID list, and then Cam Newton comes in to be your quarterback. That's a good one, Bill. I like that as a backup
There
for
you go.
shits and giggles. Yeah.
And Brady never plays again.
All right. You're not giving your team the best chance to have a great season by just flat out releasing Cam because you like the guy. Bill Belichick is in the business of winning football games. No one has won more than Bill Belichick, but you're giving up a guy who could be a starter on another team, who was your starter a year ago. You're doing it because you think a rookie quarterback is going to be good. What if the rookie quarterback isn't good? What if the rookie quarterback lands on the COVID list? What if the rookie quarterback gets injured? You've left yourself with Brian Hoyer, and no one's going to convince me that Brian Hoyer is a better option as your backup quarterback than Cam Newton. And the Eagles have 3 quarterbacks. We discussed this the other day. Like, they have Gardner Minshew, they have Joe Flacco. They have a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a guy who threw for 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions a year ago. In the event that Jalen Hurts isn't good or gets hurt or lands on that COVID list, they have 2 guys who have started many, many, many NFL games and who could replace him for a week or two. And I'm just surprised that Belichick flat out released Cam Newton. That's shocking to me based on what we know about Bill Belichick and how competitive he is.
But if your premise is that Patriot fans have a right to be angry about this, I think Bill Belichick, despite last season, has benefit of doubt and has earned benefit of doubt more than any other coach in professional sports, probably. In other words, the thinking is, and probably should be, if Belichick thinks Mac Jones is ready and really good, he probably is.
Right.
And if he's releasing Cam Newton and sticking with his longtime backup Brian Hoyer, it's probably a good decision. You know, I think Cam Newton still has some life left in his career, possibly as a starter somewhere, but you sort of trust Belichick.
Well, you do, but you have guys like Chris Long, who played for Belichick, on Twitter, okay, saying that knowing Bill the way I do, this was a favor to Cam. He really loves that dude. I don't doubt that he does love that guy, okay? But Belichick loves winning, and his responsibility to that organization, that fan base, is to try to give them the best chance to win. And he just did something that does not give them the best chance to win, in my opinion, because you are a hit away from Brian Hoyer being your quarterback,
Right,
where it could have been Cam Newton.
The thing is, you guys are looking at it from a prism of Bill Belichick is doing it. What if Cam was the one that said, I will not play and I will not be on this team unless I'm the starter?
You have a contract.
I mean, you do, but you can get away with that. You can get around stuff like that.
Stop playing for it. Take a year off.
That's what I'm saying. But he probably went to Belichick and said, all right, I'm not the starter. I don't want to play here anymore. Like, get me out. And Bill said, yeah, okay, fine, that's fine. But it's the Cam Newton angle that you guys, I think, are overlooking.
What about the Seahawks?
Ooh.
Geno Smith is the backup.
Ooh, is he really?
Yeah.
he's still in the league.
He's still playing. Did you know Geno Smith was still in the game?
Geno
Put that on the bowl, please. I had no idea. But no, he shouldn't be doing favors, Belichick, is what I'm saying.
I feel like I just figured this out. I think Belichick secretly in the meeting with all the coaches, they're like, Cam doesn't have it anymore. How do we do this and not look like assholes? Hey, Cam, we want you to be a starter somewhere. We're gonna release you. We think you still got it, but you're not gonna start here. You get out of here. They look cool, but they really secretly think he stinks.
Patriots organization famously concerned about looking like assholes.
But I'm just saying, if he does like Cam Newton, like Chris Long is saying, and they secretly are like, this Cam just really doesn't have it anymore. You can look like a nice person and get him off your team. Win-win.
Cardinals.
Right, but what you're saying is he's better than Brian Hoyer. Like, Brian Hoyer's a better option for you, which I don't
What if
believe.
Belichick thinks that? Dude, you're
Belichick doesn't
thinking of
think that.
2015. Cam Newton's not good anymore.
Belichick doesn't think that.
I mean, Hoyer's not good. I think at this point, throwing the football, Hoyer, Cam Newton, same thing.
I mean, Belichick, there's no way. There's no one in America who thinks that Brian Hoyer is a better option for you than Cam Newton. Not a single person.
Was it better?
Not even Brian Hoyer or the Hoyers. Right.
Brian Hoyer's like all reliable. You just feel like you got this trusty thing in your little pocket. You got
Right.
Brian
I
Hoyer in the
understand that,
quarterback
right,
room. It's
right.
like
Knows the
Brian
playbook, right?
He's like Brian Hoyer is like your pillow when you come home from a long trip away. You go
Right.
home and you see it and you're like, my pillow's here.
Yeah, there's Hoyer.
Chargers.
Ooh.
We just keep naming teams that need a good backup, but the Patriots need a good backup.
That's my point.
So if the issue is
Back to
Cam
New
Newton
England.
doesn't want to be a backup, he's not going to go to any of these teams just to be the backup, right? Although I guess I personally would rather be the backup in a city that isn't Boston. At least go try to live somewhere warmer. But that's just
Right,
me because I hate cold weather.
I love that Stugotz just said there's not a single GM that would choose Brian Hoyer over Cam Newton, and the best GM in the league just did it.
Easy on the best GM in the league, okay? I mean, we do this thing with Belichick still. He got rid of Tom Brady. Brady won a Super Bowl last year.
He was
okay?
43 years old.
He won a Super Bowl last year. Belichick thought he was
It's
done.
a reason-
And Belichick thought he was done 5 years ago because he wanted to go with Garoppolo. And what did Brady do? He put together an entire another Hall of Fame career. 5 years. 5 years ago, he wanted to get rid of Brady. Brady's won 3 Super Bowls.
Titans.
Stugotz,
by defying age like no athlete ever has.
And he signed Albert Hainsworth.
Yep. What's Belichick ever done?
Stugotz, can we get
Let's
your
run
top
with that.
5 GMs in the NFL?
Ooh, top
Or
5
just
GMs.
top 5 GMs total.
Can you name 5 GMs?
I don't know. Is Ozzie Newsome still roaming around
don't
somewhere?
think-
Yeah, he
is
is.
he?
Nice.
I thought he was on the path to retirement.
Lions.
Ooh,
I mean, Jared Goff. That's not.
that's
not
actually a
bad
good one.
shot.
Yeah.
They're gonna play Jared Goff though. He's gonna start. Like, there's
Right.
not gonna be a quarterback.
Would you go to the
competition if he
Lions
goes to the
knowing
Lions.
Dan Campbell was going to be your boss, though? I mean, if you're Cam Newton. I'm doing my top 5 GMs.
Is he better or worse than Case Keenum?
Better.
He's better than Case Keenum.
Cleveland then.
He's a former MVP in 2008.
Former.
The 2008 MVP. I mean,
He had one bad year, Cam. In 2018, he was pretty okay.
yes.
Was it last year?
How was he in 2019?
He barely played.
Because he was hurt. Because he's terrible.
He didn't play. Played 2 games, I think.
Yeah, he did play 2 games.
Who's the Dolphins' backup?
Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett.
I'd rather
They
have
got
Jaco-
QB depth.
I'd rather have
man.
Jacoby
Right.
Brissett than Cam Newton.
Bunch of Cam Newton
Cincinnati,
haters in
yeah.
here.
How about the
He
Giants?
did look good in the preseason game.
Yes, he did. Somebody will sign Cam. He should start somewhere.
No, he's going to start
Yeah.
somewhere.
He's too young to give up on. What is he,
He's
31?
only 32.
32. He's got plenty of life.
He's going to start somewhere.
Yeah, he's going to start somewhere. No, he's going to start somewhere. Like, I think Belichick releases
Like
him
full
because
time or like once or twice?
no, he's going to start full time. Like,
Oh.
like week 1 starter.
Week 1.
Yes.
Oh.
Week
So
1.
10
See,
days
you
from now,
have-
he's going to
you-
learn
yeah.
a whole system.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Where?
Perhaps Denver.
Thank you.
You think Vic Fangio?
Bangs.
You said yesterday, no one plays it closer to the vest
Than
than
Fangs,
Vic
yes.
Fangio.
Yeah.
You think he wants to bring in Cam Newton on 10 days prep to start ahead of Teddy Bridgewater?
No, but I think Elway does. Who brings in more quarterbacks than Elway?
Yeah, more quarterbacks go over the hill.
Worked out very well for them the last few years.
Listen, you bring in a bunch of quarterbacks and you see what sticks. Peyton Manning stuck. I mean,
I think Elway should start.
you'd be
Former
better,
MVP.
Yeah,
better than Bridgewater.
that's right. Got some life left in him.
I think Cam's a starter. I think Belichick released him because Cam knows he can go get himself a starting job. But if I'm Belichick, the sell would have been, hey, I think Mac's good, but he's a rookie. We won't know until we get into the season. Stay right here. He could get hurt, COVID list, all that stuff. And you're our backup.
Don't you think they obviously tried to trade him before releasing him? Don't you think they I mean, why wouldn't they try to get value for him if they're going to release him? Why wouldn't they try to?
Well,
I mean,
if you believe what Chris Long is saying, Bill is doing him a favor here. He loves Cam Newton. He has grown to love Cam Newton, has a great relationship. Release him, let him go and find a team. Let him live in a city that he wants to live in rather than trade him for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
I just think if he was going to be a starter, he would have enough value to get traded for. And when you get released, you're generally going to go somewhere and be a backup.
That's not necessarily true. Like if they are doing him a solid, they're not going to trade him somewhere where he doesn't want to play. He'd rather be a free agent.
Cincinnati.
I don't know. I don't think
Burrow, yeah.
Who is Burrow's backup?
Was it Kyle Shermer and Brandon Allen?
I've heard enough.
There you go. Cam to Cincy.
Number 5. Ozzie Newsome. Number 4. Mickey Loomis. Number 3. Chris Ballard. Number 2. Brandon Bean. And number 1, Kevin Colbert.
That's a great GM. I thought
Steelers
you were going to
GM
say.
is a fantastic GM.
I thought you were going to say George Michael or like Gucci Mane or George R.R. Martin. Like
You do that
famous
list.
GM.
Your top 5. Let's go.
George
You do
Michael,
that
the
list.
former Yankees,
Stick.
Stick. Yes.
It was Gene Michael, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gene Michael.
Stick. That's a great nickname. I should have done it like that. You're right, Smetty. Save me.
Which list on the internet did you pull up of the top 5 GMs?
Whichever one came up first.
I don't think you know who Brandon Bean is. Before this segment, did you know who the GM of the Buffalo Bills was?
No. But I saw a Bean. I figured he's related to Billy Bean. He has to be pretty good at his
There
job.
you go. You were a bean counter.
Dramatic turn, Houston is now positioned to keep him into the regular season at least. And so, I mean, if there's no suspension, does Deshaun Watson start week 1 for Houston?
I doubt it. He's not only hasn't he played in the preseason, he's barely practiced. I mean, he's probably not in physical shape to start.
I saw yesterday that Houston would make him inactive if he was on the roster week 1 and there was no suspension. I don't know if that was an official report or speculation, but it seems like the most likely outcome.
Yeah, makes sense.
Crazy what's going on. How would you feel about that? About Deshaun Watson playing? How do you think the league would? How do you think fans would react to that?
Again, the commissioner has had this in his court the whole time. He has that list they can put players on and take it out of it. Because, like, I mean, in some respect, you're Deshaun Watson. Why can't I play? You know, I haven't been convicted. I
I
haven't
can
like
think of 23 reasons.
no. I mean, but
23
those are accusations,
Yeah.
but you get due process in this country.
Right.
So you're innocent until proven guilty.
You get due process if you're accused of a crime and you don't like immediately go to jail. Like due process is always misused in this situation.
I agree.
He is an employee of a company who
Yes.
can decide if he plays
Very
a
much.
game that is for our entertainment.
100%.
That has nothing to do with due process. The NFL obviously has its own investigative arm. They can do whatever the hell they want. He's an employee.
Yeah, the,
Well,
NF
okay,
the NFL
he's
doesn't
like-
have to wait for due process.
He's not just an employee, though. He's part of a union that collectively bargains their rights. So you can file a complaint if you're a union member and be like, why am I inactive?
Do you think the Texans would start him if he was available?
I don't know. I mean, like, because there is a whole dynamic with those two entities even before
Wow, that's crazy.
all these accusations happen. Like, they've been, Watson has said himself that he doesn't want to play for this organization anymore.
Right.
So there was that even before all the accusations came in. So I don't know kind of which takes precedence. But yeah, I mean, the commissioner should have taken this out of their hands a long time ago because there's doubt. Why is there doubt? We're a week and a half before the season. I understand you have to investigate things, but he should just be on the exempt list and teams shouldn't have to deal with this.
I threw it out there earlier that it's very plausible that he might not play for 2 years. If he doesn't play this year because they have him but they're not playing him, and if next year he's on the commissioner's list, he's suspended for a year. I mean, that could happen.
It could very well happen.
Yeah, you can get a year suspension. I mean, he might be in jail.
Right.
We don't know. But also, until then, there is this limbo that, unfortunately, we've just run out of time. And that limbo is meant to be solved by the commissioner of the NFL. I don't know why he hasn't.
Right. He should. I would have suspended him already if I were Goodell, but
You would have suspended Deshaun Watson
I
already?
think so. Yeah, I don't need to.
Just take it out of the coaches and organizations' hands and
The-
just say, hey, until this thing is figured out, we're
He doesn't play. Right.
Right.
I mean, they don't have to wait for the legal system or the civil system to decide what's going on. The commissioner can say 22 accusations.
There's enough here.
There's enough here. This is an embarrassment to the league.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's not going to represent the NFL until his name is cleared. He could do that.
Can the commissioner dictate whether or not the Texans actually play him? I don't think they can. If he's on the roster, they can play him, right?
No, I think the commissioner's power.
Well, he can put him on the exempt list.
Right.
Right. I don't see him doing that, though.
He hasn't yet. That's
What's
for
he
sure.
waiting for?
We don't know.
This is crazy. This whole scenario is you have this quarterback who's about to turn 26, who's a generational quarterback who has all this stuff off the field swirling around him. And The commissioner's not doing anything, at least not now. Teams are interested in acquiring him. We're not certain if the Texans would or would not start him if he was available in week 1.
Right.
What a ridiculously crazy story.
That probably won't have a conclusion in time for the start of the season. I mean, the conclusion, I think, will be what Jess mentioned, which is that he'll be inactive for week 1, and we keep kicking the can down the road.
Right.
But that's all that seems to be that there is, just kicking the can down the road.
And you can't trade for him right now. You just can't.
No.
Because you can't give up that, whatever it costs to get him, you can't give it up
Right.
not knowing what his future is going to be.
I'm really surprised that reporting came out over the weekend. That, we're near a trade. Carolina and the Dolphins are in. They're going to do this. Because we are completely short of the information of what it would take to make that decision. And now the Dolphins are going to jump into this game. It's bizarre. It's like, how have we gotten to this point where over the course of an offseason, it's been, 8? When did that first accusation come out? In January? It's been 8 months?
Yeah.
And we're nowhere near resolution on is Cam Newton or is Deshaun Watson allowed to play? I can't believe it. I really can't that there was rumors that came out over the weekend that maybe a team is considering giving up a bounty for him. I don't get it.
Yeah, because it's gone quiet. The whole civil suit thing and everything has gone quiet lately, which tells me that there's stuff happening behind the scenes to settle all these cases, which is possible. But even if Deshaun Watson pays to settle all these cases, that's not going to clear his name. You know, he still carries that baggage.
Forever. This will be with him forever.
Yeah, forever.
Yes.
The Giants.
I like that.
That's actually not a
Start
bad
over,
call.
Danny Dimes.
That's actually not a bad call. I mean, Daniel Jones doesn't have a
Plus, Gettleman was from Carolina.
Yeah.
Not a bad call, Billy. Real sleuth back there.
well, he's named every team in the NFL over the course of the last half
but
hour.
I think you just named the right one.
Yeah, That's how you do it. You have to kind of figure out where he's not going before you figure out where he is going. Yeah.
So Colts,
Back up.
Ravens.
Yep.
I mean Colts. I'm sorry, Texans.
You have him starting in
Eagles.
Tampa, I believe.
Yeah, that was weird. Sorry. Over the greatest quarterback ever. Fresh off a Super Bowl victory, who just told Peter King he's about to have the best season he's ever had. I mean,
He's 44.
you're doubting it? Don't do it. I care about you.
We were so close to that, you having to retire that. And now here you are.
Oh, I am back and better than ever, as Greedy would say.
That will be retired before Brady, which doesn't make sense.
No.
Can't be retired
No,
before
no,
But it will.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Did you guys read the Complex article that came out? That was an interview with someone who went to Bishop Sycamore.
No, I saw that Awful Announcing did further reporting, but I did not read the Complex story.
Can you have gone to Bishop Sycamore? It seems like
So-
it's made up.
It was a player who was saying that he was one of the first people to ever be recruited by Bishop Sycamore. And I encourage you all to read this because the details are astonishing. But he basically was saying that it's not a real school and they kind of tricked him into signing there. And most of the other players on the team were former JUCO players and they had a really small roster. And all of the things that they promised him basically weren't a reality. And he made some like pretty crazy allegations about like they had to sleep on the floor of a house at one point and like rob a Walmart so that they'd have things to sleep on. Like it's actually like kind of sad. I would say actually very sad because the kids are obviously the ones who are being lied to here. And I assume there's someone making money off of all of this. I don't know if it's the head coach who now we found out has like a warrant out for fraud because he was writing, I guess, allegedly writing bounce checks to pay for all of this. But this story just keeps getting more and more and more convoluted. And the fact that this high school was able to con its way onto an ESPN Sunday night high school football broadcast is honestly impressive. Because none of this seems real. Like none of this passes the sniff test. If you even have access to Google.com and you Google Bishop Sycamore, like you know pretty instantly this is not a real thing.
I just want to read more from this Awful Announcing follow-up because they reported on the initial story. So it says here, that's indicative of another things viewers picked up on Sunday. It looked like Bishop Sycamore had mismatched helmets and potentially not enough helmets for the entire team. That's despite the roster being reported to be very small, just 30 to 35 players, hence the two-way participation. A week ago, Bishop Sycamore posted a GoFundMe campaign seeking $20,000, to which they've raised under $200. The description of that campaign says, "We are Bishop Sycamore, a new football program getting established in Columbus, Ohio. We play a national schedule, which is ranked 4th in the nation. We have gathered young men from all over the country in the pursuit of a similar goal. We currently need your assistance with helping these young men achieve their goals and aspire other young men to do the same. It takes a community to raise a child. Please be that community and help these young men. Please help us with funding team meals, travel expenses, and equipment cost. Check us out on Instagram @_Bishop Football."
Now I'm kind of on their side, to be honest with you.
Why, Billy?
I don't know. I feel like I would donate to that. If I read that, I feel like I would donate to that.
Do you
It's
think?
probably too late now. I shouldn't. At this point, I should not donate to that.
Do not give them your credit card number
But they're
or your
looking
zip
for
code.
help.
Reasons to be suspicious of a fake school. Number 1, they have a GoFundMe page.
Well, no, like not every school can, be nationally prominent in the sports world. They need a little help financially. This one just doesn't have to actually be attached to a school, it would seem.
They had JUCO kids on their team.
Well, that's kind of another thing.
I mean,
Right, like they were allegedly there were like 20 and 22-year-old guys on this team posing as high schoolers.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
the
weren't even
thing.
good. Yeah, no.
They got embarrassed by an actual high school team. What's in it for the players? Like, because I guess I understand if the coach or whoever it is that's kind of running this alleged scheme could have money that they get from like GoFundMes or from, I guess you get paid a certain amount for being on these games. But what's in it for the players? Like,
So-
do they think they're going to get discovered on
Yes.
ESPN
Yes.
and then
The-
they're going to get what? Because they're going to be found out to be too
No,
old.
so this one, well, not if you have eligibility left, you can still play in college, and it doesn't matter if you're. I mean, De'Ara King's like 25 right now, so they can still play in college.
How long did they
But-
think this scam would work for?
They didn't. The students didn't know, or students, players, whatever you want to call them, they didn't know it was a scam. So this one guy who I read the article about was saying that he was basically sold on this is going to be the IMG Academy of the North. This is going to be the newest, football academy, like IMG in Ohio. And so he believed in them, and he said he went there for his junior year and then had to go back to regular high school and repeat his junior season. His entire junior season of football was completely ruined.
so the company, it's important to point out what Paragon Sports is and what they do. They will get high school games together and they will put them on ESPN, and they'll probably pay ESPN an amount of money to air said game, and then they will go sell advertising against that game. That's what they do. So is it their job to kind of vet the two teams that are playing? They don't have to vet IMG. Is it ESPN's job to vet it? Whose job is it to vet the teams that are actually playing? That's what Paragon does. They're brokering time essentially on ESPN, and they're paying ESPN, and then they're selling it and making money off of that product.
Well, I was about to volunteer that I think this is a huge embarrassment to ESPN. Almost,
is, yes.
Almost rising to the level of scandal. And I think ESPN needs. Have they put out a statement yet or said anything? Because
No, they put out a statement which essentially blamed Paragon Sports. I mean, that's what they did.
it's their air. I mean, they have a responsibility that when they're airing a high school football game to sort of make sure that both teams are high school football teams.
I totally agree with you, but can you see this kind of scenario playing out where ESPN has done so much business with Paragon Sports, and everything Paragon Sports has put on their air has been great, been a good product, okay? Because usually they're placing these high school games, lacrosse games, high school lacrosse games, basketball games. It's during the summer months where there's not a lot going on. So if you have a long history with a partner in Paragon Sports who has always given you great product, right? There's never been a problem with them. Do you just say, hey, they know what they're doing? You put the game on? Because people would find it very hard to believe just how disorganized ESPN is at the highest levels of ESPN. I was shocked by it. I worked there for 8 years. You ask 3 different people at ESPN, who's in charge of this, and you'll get 3 different answers. I'm serious. I have experience with it, and I'm not blaming ESPN, but I can't see how this possibly could happen because you trust your partners that much, and because there's so much going on there, and they just put a game on because they figure, hey, partner did the vetting. We're good. Let's take the money. See ya. I could see how it would happen.
So nobody at ESPN is Googling Bishop Sycamore and doing the least bit of research on.
I think they feel like that's Paragon's
Okay.
job.
All right.
It honestly feels like the first people at ESPN to Google all this stuff were the commentators, were the broadcasters on the game who could not verify the veracity of their claims that they had multiple D1 prospects. Now, I'm reading more about this story. So here are some of the accusations about this school. This is not the first time they played 2 games in one weekend.
Right.
Number 2, their head coach has an active arrest warrant. Number 3, a large amount of players are older than high school age, including players who have played in junior college football. Some of their players are 20. Reading so many stories. This is a tweet from Andrew Ivins, who covers recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Reading so many stories on Bishop Sycamore today, so let me share this one. They played a defender on Sunday that's originally a 2020 from Florida, class of 2020. Kid has reported over 24 fake offers. He showed up once to a 7v7 tryout and used a fake ID. His huddle page, is like a recruiting page, is also fake. Amazing.
What do you do if you're the broadcasters, right? Because like, there's no way you say, you know what? I don't think this is a real school. Like when you're doing the research, because who would you even tell that to? And they'd be like, "Are you crazy? Like this is clearly a school."
That's what producers are for. And honestly, I think Anish Sharaf and Tom Luginbill, like they deserve some credit for at least treating this with the kind of like importance and not just
skepticism
right? But not just making fun of these high school players for getting their asses kicked. Like I feel like if this happened in like the early 2000s or the 90s, everyone would have been like, ah ha ha, look at these dumb, like stupid football players, they suck. And instead it's like, no, this is like actually dangerous. Now we kind of understand a little bit better how dangerous it is to put kids on the field in back-to-back games against a school that is much better than them and much more talented. Like it's not really that funny. It's kind of sad and terrifying a little bit.
It is. You want the ESPN statement, by the way, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
We regret that this happened, and we have discussed it with Paragon, which secured the matchup and handles the majority of our high school event scheduling. They have assured us that they will take the necessary steps to prevent this kind of situation from happening moving forward. They had a stern talking to with Paragon,
right?
And they are not taking any responsibility. They are simply putting it on Paragon.
Yeah, that's blame shifting.
So they're saying Paragon, essentially, they've been a good partner. They've given us good games. They probably should have vetted the opponent, right? But to your point, I think you're right. I think we're all right. ESPN needs to also vet what's going on their network.
Of course.
Yes.
I feel like we're tackling this story all wrong. We need to be thinking about what sport we can infiltrate ESPN on. Like maybe me getting in the cornhole circuit. Spike ball? There you go. That's what I mean. Like we need to figure out how we do what Sycamore did.
I just grabbed your mic while you were talking. Okay, I just said that it wasn't funny, but there was something really funny that I saw on Twitter from @BexWelker that said, "Yeah, you don't know her. She goes to Bishop Sycamore."
Wait, Chris, you want to form a team?
I'm just thinking out loud here, spitballing.
We have to go through Paragon
It
Sports.
doesn't seem like it's
Yes.
that hard to, that's true. We need,
It's not hard to infiltrate Paragon Sports, apparently.
No, but
Yes.
like ESPN, like to the point, like ESPN doesn't put on all the programming that it airs, right? Like it's hiring production companies like the aforementioned Cornhole League. ESPN's not getting together and putting all their resources. Like no, they're getting handed a broadcast, and what they offer is them like ESPN mic flags, right, for a
Yes.
broadcast that someone else is putting together. So in theory, you could, but I would have to imagine now that there's gonna be a whole lot of vetting that's gonna be happening for so many of these events, right?
Yes.
We'll let it cool off for a couple months.
Nah, wait until ESPN.
Start of the new
Ocho.
year, we attack.
But what do you understand what happened? It's essentially brokered programming
Yeah.
from a partner that's been very, very good to them. So they're just like, hey, just put the game on. Who cares? Take the money, right? I could see how that would happen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not justifying it at all. But I could see how Paragon didn't vet the opponent, and ESPN just said, hey, money, August, high school football game. We'll take it. The partner's been good to us. We don't need to vet the opponent because we assume that they did. I could see that. I could see that scenario playing out.
For me, the thing, not to take it too serious, but the thing that's most kind of terrifying is the commentators noticed fairly early on that the quarterback kept getting drilled. Like on every play, the IMG Academy was knocking this quarterback to the ground, who, by the way, was playing on both sides of the ball.
Right.
He was playing offense and defense and getting drilled as the quarterback.
There are videos on the internet of kids running off the field, and as they're running off the field, taking off their helmet and tossing it to other people. Like, I know that we already speculated on that, but there's video proof of guys literally tossing helmets to people as they run off
Apparently,
the field.
their uniforms are mismatched. Like they don't.
That should be a tell right there.
Yeah.
Serious.
I mean,
How many warning signs do you need?
But again, it like I read this thing once about like trust bias that people have, where you just trust when you see a high school football team showing up to a field that they are a legit high school football team.
And
Why would you doubt that a high school football team wouldn't be legit?
and you trust it even more when you see them playing on ESPN.
Of
Exactly.
course, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But if you're a Paragon, right, who puts this game together, why would a high school be made up out of thin air? You just assume.
Well, I think that listen,
because new programs come along all the time.
The problem starts with Paragon. That's it.
I know. I agree.
ESPN deserves some blame here, but the problem starts with Paragon not vetting.
I know, but to be a human for a second, right? Why would this exist? What kind? This is a unique scam that has never been run. I don't think.
I mean, IMG Academy is like almost kind of the same thing, but with like a little bit more legitimized backing.
A little bit more, a lot of bit more.
Okay, a lot of bit more, but like it's an academy that exists to get football players to go and live there and board there and then play football. So it's not the most insane grift I've ever heard. I agree. They should have vetted it. They should have Googled the school.
Yeah.
They should. And if you're booking high school football teams to play against each other and you've never heard of one before because it just existed a year ago, you think you'd maybe do some research on it.
I'm just playing the other side, though. If they're playing against IMG, they're on IMG's schedule. Like, aren't you left to believe, okay?
Wait, they're on IMG's schedule because they put them on IMG's schedule.
Okay,
they're
that's
the
fair.
ones
Right,
setting
they brought the
these-
game together.
Right.
You're right. That's fair.
How do we feel about Friday's game against Johnson Central? Gonna happen or not gonna happen?
What's the line? I'm going to put money on it.
Tough matchup.
Put this on the bowl, please, Guillermo. Would you wear a T-shirt that simply read BS High School?
BSHS?
BSHS. I would wear that T-shirt. Greg,
Yeah.
would you wear that T-shirt?
I would, for sure.
You were talking to me a little bit about the Little League. The Little League World Series, and you were uncomfortable with a player participating in the Little League World Series. What happened? What's going on with you?
Okay. It was that one pitcher. You know, he's 12, so I don't know if we should name him.
Right.
There was that one pitcher who just utterly dominated. I think he threw 2 or 3 no-hitters. He struck out like 124 of 140 batters or something like that.
It's Gavin Weir, and he was in the Little League World Series.
Yeah. Okay. It made me, I don't know if I'm alone, it made me very uneasy to see that kind of dominance. Now, I'm not blaming him. I don't know who I'm blaming, but it reminded me of when you see an occasional high school basketball game where somebody wins 116 to 12,
Right.
and somebody scores 89 points for that team.
Uh-huh.
It just there's a sportsmanship element to it that just made me uneasy.
So he
to
should
watch.
strike out less batters.
I'm just saying it made me uneasy
Yeah,
to see
he should
such
be worse.
disparity.
What did it look like when you were uneasy? Was it just like, ooh, like a little like stomach ache or something?
Yeah,
Or-
I mean it's like ridiculous.
Well, wait, but hold on a second. There are a couple of things going on here. First off, he went out of his way to say he's 12, so I don't know if we should say his name. And then you thundered it and said his name.
Well, because
Chris
his
Cody.
name was all over ESPN for like 3 weeks.
Right.
Like everyone, my dad just doesn't know his name.
Okay.
Most people that
Gavin
watch the
Weir.
Little League Worlds, yeah,
But back in the day, there was a kid named Danny Almonte who had a similar type of Little League World Series, and it turns out later on that he was 16 years old at the
Right.
time.
I remember
he was
that
now
name.
12. And so I think Greg is scarred from that because it's the only scandal we've ever had in the Little League World Series. And perhaps you're thinking that Gavin Weir might not be something?
I'm not implying that, but I will say this: I worry that by the time he's 16, his arm's going to fall off because if he's throwing that hard at 12,
Right.
I know there are major league pitchers who should say kids that age should not throw that often or that fast.
it's
or,
not the speed. See, Dad, you're kind of just talking without knowing anything what you're talking about. It's off-speed pitches that hurt arms. It's not like throwing a certain miles per hour injures arms.
I
It's
think
kids that throw
there's an
off-speed and
argument there.
curves ball. Okay.
But I think we're all confused here, and Chris is very upset. He's being rude to you. I mean, he's your son.
Thank you.
He should
He-
have
he-
more
he is
respect for
being
you.
rude
Well,
to me.
he's just doing this thing. He's like, I don't want to say his name because he didn't know the name. And then once I said the name, he's like, it's
No.
Gavin Weir. What? What do you mean?
No,
of course
Dan-
we say his name.
Christopher's impersonating Lebitard right now. Somebody's got to be, mean to me, and so Christopher's taking on that role. I get it.
Shameful.
Right.
Shameful.
Right. You should be ashamed of yourself, Chris.
I think
Seriously.
he should be ashamed.
Report him to HR.
He didn't
Greg.
want to say his name because the kid is 12.
He was
That's-
all over ESPN.
He's
The
not
kid's
an employee,
name
though.
was everywhere. It wasn't like he's in like witness protection.
Yeah, but he wasn't all over ESPN in a way in which your dad is talking about and where he was made
My
uncomfortable by
dad,
Gavin
no,
Weir.
he was not uncomfortable. He just didn't know his name.
I
knew
think
his
he's
name.
uncomfortable with a young kid dominating the way that kid
Yes,
was dominating, right? And you start asking
Yes.
questions.
And then he said, he throws too hard, and that's not the problem with arms and young kids. It's throwing off speed pitches, sliders, changeup, curveball. That's what you're not supposed to do young.
Right. Okay.
Throwing too hard is never the problem.
Never the problem?
I disagree with that.
It's not a thing that people are like, kids need to throw, like, he should throw below 70. It's always they should throw less curveballs.
Well, it's not about throwing below 70. It's about what it takes to maximize your velocity. Like, what if he's being coached to fire with every snoot that he has as hard as he possibly can and is maximize the throwing motion at 12?
Correct.
I mean, maybe everything I've always learned with baseball and young kids is off speed pitches.
It can't be good for your rotator cuff.
Thank you.
To throw that hard. However,
correct.
So Greg, is your discomfort here that there are
that's what we're trying to figure out? Yes.
That there are athletes who are significantly better than other athletes? Because that's basically like because LeBron James, if he played in a normal high school basketball game at 16, could have scored 89 points.
Right.
Right.
You know, if I don't know what Clayton Kershaw was doing at 12, but if he was on the trajectory that he was on his way to be a great Major League Baseball pitcher, he presumably would have dominated a group of kids his own age.
Right.
So I don't understand what your discomfort here is.
My discomfort is if I'm the coach of that kid's team and he's almost literally striking out everybody he faces, and my team is comfortably ahead, I probably take that kid out of the game at the earliest possible opportunity.
You used to coach rec league soccer. I'm going to say a random name right now. Alex Kurta.
Right.
The best goal. This kid lit up rec league soccer. He probably had double the goals of anyone else in the league.
Great day for Alex Kurta, by the
And
way.
my
Probably the best day of his
dad,
life.
and my dad never took that kid out.
Rode him into the ground.
I mean, I'm just saying, you're sitting here like, when you have a kid in a league that he's dominating, you need to look out for the other teams. You never did that with Alex Kurta.
Christopher, I don't know if you recall that era and those teams better than I do, but we weren't dominating everybody. I think we won.
Alex Kurta was dominating.
I think we won one championship in 5 years, and it's soccer, as Woody will testify. It's soccer where a rout tends to be 4-0. That's not the same route as a 12-year-old kid humiliating the other team by striking out 24 of 26 batters.
Greg, sounds like you wish that Chris would have been more like Alex Kurta or whatever his name is, right?
Christopher never had, and never was fleet of foot, which is why I usually stuck him on the back end.
The fastest one here.
But you want the Little League manager to maybe pull the kid earlier than he should?
Correct.
No, you got to play your best players, regardless of age.
If you're comfortably winning?
I would say that manager is probably a bit overrated for not winning the goddamn thing with that kid on his team.
Yeah, because he started him in the semifinal instead of rolling the dice.
But Stugotz, like when Jimmy Johnson got skewered with the University of Miami for not letting his foot off the gas against Notre Dame, I think that's a completely different conversation. College athletes, professional athletes, you play until you run the ball every time if you have to, but you play. We're talking about 12-year-old kids,
right?
In a Little League World Series, it's being nationally televised.
But weren't some of those games like weren't some of those games like 1-0 games where you're forced to leave the kid in? He's the best chance you have. You're trying to win something.
Greg seems to suggest that they're comfortably in front.
That's actually a great point by you. The game that the kid pitched, because he didn't pitch in the semifinal because he pitched the game before.
Right.
It was such a close game that they couldn't take him out. Because normally what they do in those spots is take him out if you have a stud pitcher to save him for the next game. But it was a 1-0 game. See, Dad, what are you talking about?
Okay, in that one instance, it's not like I'm riveted to the TV watching the entire Little League
That is why I'm
Series.
getting frustrated here, is because you're kind of coming out with these hot takes, and it doesn't sound like you watched any of this.
I think he's uncomfortable with a 12-year-old being so dominant over and embarrassing other 12-year-olds.
Yes, correct.
Is that fair?
But it can happen. Fair. It can happen. Like in every sport,
right?
There are prodigy kids, some of whom live up to the hype and some who don't, that are appreciably better than everyone that they're playing against. And age is not necessarily a factor in separating talents.
There are also kids who mature at different times, who get taller at different times. Like, I've been this height since I was 12 years old. Okay? It hasn't served me well. It doesn't serve me well now. But when I was 12, I was the tallest kid on the basketball team.
Right.
And I would fucking dominate in the paint, Greg. Like Patrick Ewing type dominate at Georgetown. That's how good I was. But I was 5'6". Everyone else was like 5 feet, you know?
Right.
So I played center. I was good. And so the coach never took me out. He rode me into the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, below the high school level, the rules of sportsmanship are different. And I don't think you should. It
was a 1-0 game.
Yeah, you can't make a sportsmanship-based argument in a 1-0 game. If it's 11-0, that's one thing.
Strike out less guys.
In a 1-0 game,
let someone hit the ball when you're up 1-0 in the Little League World Series.
No, you should, because in life you learn more for adversity and failure. So he should have failed intentionally.
He should have intentionally put runners on first and second. So
that's how you learn.
You can work through the turmoil.
I'm not saying any of that.
Wait, Chris. So in a 5-0 game, does your dad have a point? Like take the kid out.
Well,
It's
no.
5-0.
My dad is making the point. Strike out less guys. Like if the coach wants
Don't
to
be
take
so
him out,
dominant.
like I don't know what. Like it's just I'm annoyed right now. I should stop talking.
That doesn't help us. Your annoyance with your dad is what's making the segment for me.
I can't believe I'm alone on this. If I'm watching a high school basketball game and it's 116-12 and there's one kid scoring 88 points, I don't think that's right.
But what if it's 116-112? Like that's what we're talking about here. It was a close game.
Okay, that one game was close.
Okay, but Greg, like, why are you punishing a kid who wants to play basketball or any other sport for being too good at that sport? Like, if he wants to play, he's just that much better. It's perfectly legal. He's of age. He's playing against other similarly aged kids.
Right.
I don't understand why a player who's good should be punished for being good.
I'm not saying he should be punished. He shouldn't not be able to play. But
you're saying either be. I agree with
He's
Chris.
made
You're
uncomfortable by it. That's what he's saying. He's made uncomfortable.
But what's the discomfort?
We're trying to get to the bottom of it.
If I'm coach, I would use another example. If I'm coaching a pee-wee soccer team and there's one kid on the team who's just slaloming through everybody
Alex
else
Curta.
and scoring 14, 20 goals, I'm going to play him a very limited amount.
That's unfair to that kid, though. That kid might be destined to be a professional.
Okay,
Like,
and
if you're
he's-
that good at that age, you can potentially be a professional. You're
Right.
limiting his potential career prospects by saying, "Well, you're only going to play 20 minutes because you're too good."
I will
That's
say
harsh
that-
on the kid.
I will
exactly
say
what I'm
this:
doing.
having coached a lacrosse team, my daughter's lacrosse team for the last 8 years or
You're
so.
not benching any stud.
No,
Don't
no,
you
no.
dare say this.
No, I'm not. You're right. Certainly not in a close game. No. Are you kidding me? I'm doing everything I can to keep my best players on the field for as long as possible in a close game. In a blowout, though, I'm taking those kids out.
Right.
Yeah, like there is. I understand. I kind of understand
It
what
wasn't a
Greg said.
blowout.
No, but there. Listen, do you know all his starts weren't blowouts?
No, but here's the thing too. I think so. For example, in soccer, if you're doing that at like a rec level, you go and play for an academy team, right? You go and find the higher level.
Yes, correct.
But the thing is that the Little League World Series is the very highest level of youth baseball. What
It's the
higher
best
level?
of his city. He's on a team that basically takes
Best of
all the
his
best
state.
kids from their. Yeah, but generally these kids come from little regions of a state.
Right, but,
No,
but
no,
they're
Chris.
that's the highest level of
Yes.
baseball for kids his age.
But Chris
Maybe
is
you could play
right.
at higher age.
No, but it's an all-star team from that area.
Yeah.
Right. Which is essentially what travel is.
Against
I'm
other
getting all the
other
best
all-star
players-
teams.
I'm getting all the best players from all the high schools, right? I'm putting them on one team, and that team becomes good. But when you're up 16-1 on a team, I understand what Greg's saying. It
Yeah.
becomes uncomfortable as a coach, as a parent. The kids aren't uncomfortable, and so I would just take those kids out.
So
right?
Stugotz, I presume that your lacrosse team that you coach
Yeah.
probably became too good to play teams from just your area, which is why
we had to leave.
Why
yes.
you're on a plane to Delaware every weekend.
Correct.
But you had to find them a higher level because they were probably too good. But if you've gone to the highest level and then you're still that much better than everyone else, what are you meant to do? Stop playing? That seems unfair.
No, so you find teams that you can match up with, right? So the games are closer, but there are still games. I'm telling you, we would go up to Maryland, play all the best teams. Our team got really, really good. And even against some of the Maryland teams or New York teams, Long Island teams, we were still up like 11-2 at half. And so I kind of get, and I would sit there and process that and say, hey, it doesn't feel right to just put the starters back out there. And so I wouldn't. I'd put the second team out there. And, you know, we'd still have success, but we weren't winning. We didn't win the second half 11-2. Maybe it was 5-5, right? The game evened out a bit. And so I kind of understand what he's saying, where you just don't want to, like, rub it in. But they are playing for the Little League World Series, Greg.
Right.
And this
I mean,
this is the highest level
right.
of under 12s baseball.
Yes.
There's nowhere else for this kid to go unless he like just goes to high school now and starts pitching against 18-year-olds now. Like this is as high
Right.
of a level as you're going to achieve.
Right. And granted, if it's a 1-0, I almost said 1-0.
Which it was.
If it's a 1-0 game,
Right.
then the
1-0
rule,
would have been acceptable.
the rule doesn't apply. I think 1-0's weird for anything but soccer.
No, I disagree.
Really?
I used to give scores during hockey intermission reports. Rangers 3, New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, people
0.
hated you for that.
Yeah, don't
Oh,
do it
that's
again.
great.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the best.
Don't ever
No.
do it again.
So much
Right.
fun.
Don't do
No.
it again.
Panthers play-by-play guy really judged me. I didn't care. I did it anyway.
He should judge
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Exactly.
Los Angeles Kings 3,
No.
Anaheim Ducks 0.
No. Soccer
Yes,
term.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Woody,
Can't do
when
that
you're
hockey.
when you're calling a soccer game, do you lapse into like jargon? Like it seems like when I'm watching a British announcer, every great pass is a lovely ball.
Yes. Yeah.
The equalizer.
Every once in a while, I'll use I probably go too far. I'll say 75 minutes gone. Guy's really put himself through the ringer. I'll say, oh, he looks knackered out there.
Knackered.
And that's an expression that only people in England
Right.
understand. And I'm like, is that going too far? Like, am I alienating my audience now by
Yeah.
using a word that no one knows what that means?
Well, specifically though, do you do lovely ball for a great
yes,
pass?
I've used lovely all the
staple.
time.
Okay. Yeah, it's a
Lovely is
staple.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely is a great word to use.
Can you give us your top 5 soccer terms, please? Thank you.
Okay, yes. Okay. I'm on
During
it.
the F1 qualifying race this Saturday, the team principal for Williams said that George Russell raced a stonking lap.
Stocking lap.
Stonking lap.
The hell does that mean?
Sounds good though.
It's good. It's good.
is?
He
Yes,
was P2. He
It sounds
finished in
bad.
second place.
It's too close to stinking.
Stonking. No, but
Wow.
it's not stinking. It's stonking.
Ah, right. Okay.
Stonking.
I want to dissect why Christopher got so mad at you.
He always does.
It's because he started a take based off something that he had no info on.
It's so
He
annoying.
was assuming that Gavin Weir, because he was so dominant, was win these blowout games, and he wasn't.
Oh, excuse me for assuming that when somebody's striking everybody out and throwing a no-hitter that his team is winning comfortably.
Right. And I just know you as a coach that would never take out your best player when he's dominating.
If,
so it's
if-
like it's
if
very
the game was
hypocritical.
if the game was in hand,
But the game
I
wasn't in hand.
absolutely will.
The game wasn't in it.
Yeah, no, this one game wasn't.
Right.
Right. But he's saying
And
if the
Dad,
game
we're
wasn't
saying
in
the
hand.
same
But,
thing,
but
all of us,
if the
yeah.
game
We
was
really
in
are.
hand,
Exactly, yeah.
if the game was in hand, they would have taken the pitcher out earlier to save him because they ended up losing because they couldn't use Gavin Weir.
That's right. You don't know that.
Bad
What?
coaching.
I
Agree
do
to
know
disagree.
that.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Same
couldn't-
thing. Same thing.
They couldn't use him in the semifinal game.
Yeah,
Right.
they
The
ran him into the ground.
The person we should be criticizing is the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Bad
And
decisions
Yeah.
and not.
All right. So
Do you guys want to guess what Chris's top 5 soccer terms are? Because I would say equalizer has to be in there, right? Has to be in
I
there.
don't know what's going to be on this list, but it is going to infuriate me.
all right. Number 5.
Yes.
Thunderbolt. It is an absolute thunderbolt from Seamus Coleman. A little Everton player there first.
Seamus, huh?
Smetty hates you.
Number 4, scything.
What?
It's a scything challenge.
This already needs to get over
It's gone
this list.
2-footed into Richarlison.
Definition?
Shocking challenge that.
Can I have a definition on that one? You already put it in a sentence.
All right. Number 3, put to the sword. Everton have been put to the sword here. They're losing by 3 goals to 0 to Southampton.
Doesn't this have to be like stuff you say every game? Like, are you picking obscure things?
No, I've used put to the sword
Okay.
several times.
Wow.
Yeah. it's
In that
great.
accent.
All of these you have used in
I've
games
used
before.
all of these,
Okay.
100%.
Good.
Number 2, at the death.
What? Is it followed by shit? I mean,
yes. Because I hit the.
Oh, man.
I don't know what this thing just did. Anyway, at the death means like it's 2-2 and you've won it at the death.
okay.
95 minutes on the clock and Manchester United have won it at the death. Extraordinary scenes at Old Trafford.
Oh,
Do you do it with that like accent?
yeah. Please.
Nah, I'm using
Bring
it.
it down to like an 8.
Yeah.
I'm using it in the context that I've.
I have noticed, by
I
the
think
way,
that is
in your
an 8.
soccer highlights, an energy about you that I've never seen in real life.
It's very confident.
There's
No, he's
like
a different person.
There's
You're
a little
right.
punch.
Yes.
Yeah, swagger.
Yeah, I decided because I did a call once where I sounded overly yelly. And I think it was because my mouth was open too wide as I was getting excited. So I'm trying to like use power instead of with and yelling.
Got
Like
it.
really
Do you say
reach
that
for
to the mirror?
something deep.
Do you say it into the mirror to
yeah,
yourself
I do.
before every
Yeah,
game?
power.
How about trying
power.
finesse? Try finesse.
No,
this
I'm
time.
going
How
for
big
going
is
for
too
power.
big in terms of like your mouth being open when you're practicing?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I don't know. It's just it's a know it when you see it thing.
Mm.
Oh
Look-
my God.
You looked at the film?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Turn around. Let me
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Let me
open
see
your
how
mouth.
wide it is when
Yeah.
it's normal. This is like a
Okay, all
normal
right.
call.
Yeah.
Just
Except
speak
for the
normally.
ball.
Speak
Remember,
normally.
think power.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
power.
Pretend to be normal.
It's the opening goal for Inter Miami. These are extraordinary scenes here at Drive Pink Stadium. What a goal that is.
Okay,
Oh,
now
and
And then
too
I'm going,
big.
it's a winner at the death. He's done it.
Too
Yeah,
wide.
that's a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
too
a
wide.
significant
You know what I
difference.
mean?
Yeah,
You gotta go
yeah,
for
you're right.
power, you know? Number one. My number one favorite soccer phrase, sumptuous. It is so this is an
Sumptuous.
upgrade.
Sumptuous right
This
now.
is an upgrade on lovely ball.
Yeah.
It's a sumptuous ball and behind.
Not
What a ball that
scrumptious.
is.
I
Are
feel
you
like
it's a
hosting
Dominic
soccer or the
Calvert-Lewin.
Great British Bake Off? What is going on?
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah, sure.
Telling you guys, the English do language better than we do. Broadcasting, like, you know,
it's English.
in broadcasting school, they tell you here in the United States, got to keep the language simple. You want to make sure that everyone listening understands. Bollocks, I say. That is not. That
What
is
does
not
that
how
mean?
I.
What
That
does
is
that
not
mean?
how.
Bollocks mean,
another
explain.
British phrase.
Yeah. Well, bollocks actually has several meanings.
If this show was in Britain, it would be the Dan Lebitard show with bollocks.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, is it really like the
have
upside
to-
down letters
You
or
have to
whatever?
read
Yeah.
it in the
Yep.
font,
Oh no.
in hieroglyphics.
Roy, can you find? I just lost. It was on my Twitter timeline.
Yeah, I just saw
lost
it on First Take. They put it on the screen. That's how I knew it was in that.
Is he wearing a hat with a feather in it while he releases the statement?
No.
Is this the day of celebration in Boston? It might be. Mac over Cam. I want to find the statement. Sorry, guys.
It's got to be a popular choice.
Oh God.
It's on his
What-
Instagram.
What the fuck is this font? I really appreciate all the love and support.
I'm
during
clearly
this
not a
time,
starter anymore. Oh wow, it's weird that he said that.
But I must say,
Chris, why don't you write the statement he should write? Okay.
Yeah.
but I must say, please don't feel sorry for me. Hashtag I'm good. Then there's 3 bullet points. One finger. The umlauts are distracting. One pinky. There's an enya, and it's onye pinky, pinky, because there's an enya over the end there as well. One thumb. One finger, one pinky, one thumb, which makes the yeah, go dude emoji.
This is why the NFL wins. I'm serious. It's kind of a benign decision here. It's Cam Newton, who was an MVP in 2015, who played for a season last year with the Patriots. We're not certain if he's a starter or a backup. He doesn't. He's not vaccinated. But this is why the NFL wins every single time. Because my Twitter timeline is, I'm telling you, everything is Cam Newton. Where's he going? It's Mac Jones too, but this is why the NFL wins. Greg, in the grand scheme of things, this is a benign move.
Totally.
They released a quarterback who's probably past his prime, who's a former MVP, who's not very good anymore, because they drafted a rookie from Alabama with
Right.
the 15th pick in the draft, and he won the quarterback competition. And yet this is like people are going bananas over this news, and it's why the NFL wins out every single time.
100%. I think part of it is that it's the Patriots and Belichick. But,
Well, of course, that lends to it.
but you're right. I mean, we're talking about a quarterback who had probably the worst season of any passer in the league last year who just got released. Cam Newton is the number 3 thing trending on Google right now.
Which is crazy. And there are people criticizing Bill Belichick for not holding on to Cam Newton in the event that Mac Jones just isn't good or
Right.
if he gets hurt.
You're the people.
It's not just me. I'm not the only one. Like, Billy, this is going to play out. You'll see Mac Jones is going to get hurt, or he's going to end up on the COVID list, or he's not going to be very good. And all of a sudden, it's going to be Brian Hoyer starting a big game for the Patriots.
Sometimes I feel like I am taking crazy pills when Stugotz says something and then an hour later says the opposite thing.
You like that?
And I just
That was
I'm
then,
like,
this
wait,
is now.
did I mishear that? Am I misremembering that? What's going on right now? What day is it? Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing?
Opinions change.
You started
An existential crisis over a Cam Newton take.
You said it
What
was
have you done, Stugotz?
inconsequential. You said it was inconsequential,
You'll
and then
get
have
used to
gone
it.
back to like, well, what if there's an injury? What
No,
if there's COVID?
But in the grand scheme of things, this is really a benign move. Is it not? A rookie won a quarterback competition over a former MVP back in 2008 that we think is probably past his prime. And we're not certain if he's good anymore. And yet it is overtaken the sports media landscape. So I understand it's Patriots, it's Belichick, and it's a former MVP in Cam Newton
Right.
who took a Carolina team to a Super Bowl. That wasn't terribly good.
Right.
I get why, but it's just in the grand scheme of the NFL, kind of a benign move.
But
right?
but it's also a quarterback with an outsized personality.
Yeah.
Who looks the part and talks the part of an interesting guy. So that's part of it.
Smetty, can you break down exactly where I contradicted myself from just an hour ago with this story?
Okay, I think an hour ago you were saying that he should be a starter somewhere, and Chris Cody and
should.
Tony were saying he's not good anymore.
Right.
And now you're saying that this is inconsequential and benign because he's not very good anymore, and it's not a big deal that Bill Belichick's releasing him.
But the NFL wins somehow.
Well, that's it. That was the larger
Correct.
point. The NFL just wins out every single time.
So what's your actual opinion?
Well, he's a starter, okay? I'm not certain if Cam Newton is the Cam Newton of 2015, and I'm not convinced that he's the Cam Newton of last year either, okay?
Somewhere in between.
Tony wants to leap through the window that separates us to punch you in the letterings for thinking that Cam Newton.
And
would
I'm
start
following
somewhere.
him to punch my dad.
Really?
Good thing the door's locked.
And it's bulletproof glass. Come get some. Let's go. Anyway, I don't know what I think about Cam, to be quite honest with you. Here's what I think. I'm just going to calm myself down. We're going to relax because this should not be that big of news, okay? I think Cam Newton can start in the NFL. I am surprised that Belichick did not hold on to him to be his backup because Belichick is all about winning, being prepared, right? You know, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Okay, if Mac Jones isn't good, I got this former MVP who has a year under my system. I have him here just in case, right? Makes you feel good. So I'm surprised that Belichick did that, okay? But I do think Cam Newton can start. Can he lead a team to a Super Bowl? Probably not, okay? But can he be a very productive quarterback in the NFL on a team that needs a quarterback? Yeah, I think he can.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
I
But the
don't
move
disagree.
but the move itself is not that big where it's like it should be. Now, granted, it's a slow sports day, and we're in August, and we're all just trying to get to Saturday for the college football season. But you would think that Aaron Rodgers was just released by the Green Bay Packers. It's Cam Newton.
We just figured out what's happening here. Stugotz is doing radio. We're a podcast. Stugotz is like, nobody's listening that was an hour ago, but the chances are they probably are still listening from
Yes,
an hour ago.
of course. But I would do that on radio.
But
too.
on
I don't do it
radio,
podcast.
you get away with it because people that were not like listening an hour ago probably aren't listening now. Like the
Oh,
people,
no, we'll still get away with it, Chris. Don't worry about it.
So Cam's
Are you
moving
sure?
now.
I'm me.
Yeah, he's going to get away with it. And he's going to get
I'm going to
paid.
get away with it. Because they speak my language, Chris, which is gibberish.
So Cam's moving now. What do you think that's like? You think he has one of those rooms in his house that's just a closet? Like it's supposed to be like a third bedroom, but it just is a closet?
Yeah, it's not a walk-in closet. It's a walk-in bedroom.
You think Cam had a house in New England?
Oh, he must. In order to preserve all that wardrobe, you have to have a house.
Yeah.
Even if you rent it, you can
How-
rent a house.
How expensive must it cost to transport his incredible wardrobe? The hats alone, like
Yep.
each hat isn't probably in its individual hat box. It's got to be like 3 freight trains worth of clothing.
I can't imagine what like a weekend getaway with him is like in terms of luggage.
Right. And also you would like those hats are not amenable to stacking. You're not stacking one hat on top of the other.
Right.
No, they each
Multiple
got to have
hat
their own
boxes.
box.
Right. They have to that's a lot of boxes.
And like the suits, you have to hang. You have to keep them nice from
how
getting
many? What do you think is
wrinkled.
the over/under on suits?
That
For
he
Cam?
owns?
5,000? Like he has.
I would go under on
I've never seen him.
5,000.
I've never seen him
5,000.
Yeah,
repeat
probably
an
under
outfit.
on that
I was
one.
gonna say
I'll take-
probably
I'll put that in
10
it.
because they just go in the garbage after. So he
Garbage?
probably has 10. He probably has
Garbage.
10 in his
Garbage or
closet.
garbage?
One time
rent?
use only.
Do you
I
think,
would
do you
say
think he's like
fi-
a renter?
I'd
Like
say
he rents the runway?
I'd
I
say
don't think so.
5,000 is aggressive and 10 is not nearly enough. Okay, so somewhere in
Somewhere
between.
between
there.
10 and 5,000.
Yeah, I would say it's probably closer to 1,000. He has 1,000 suits.
So Chris thinks that he buys a suit and then gives it away right after he wears it.
Do you know how many 1,000 is? That's so many.
But how?
1,000?
You know how much money that man has made?
But do you know how many-
But also, how many public events does he need to be suited and booted for?
He would have
Right?
to have
Like
a new
one a
suit for
week, I feel
every
like.
day for 3 consecutive
Press
years
conference.
for 1,000 suits.
He also doesn't like have one per event. Like he probably chooses from like 5. Like no one ever just buys one thing and they wear it to that thing. Like if you're rich, you have like 50 that you pick from. You buy one of everything and then you're like, that's the one I want to wear. I'm feeling light blue today with a little feather in my cap.
Is it just for men that has like buy 5 suits or buy one and you
Men's
get
No,
five?
Warehouse,
just for
Men's
men
Warehouse.
is
I
the
love
hair
the idea
coloring.
of Cam doing that.
You're
Like
gonna love
buy
the
one
way-
suit, get 6 for free.
I don't think he's dealing with Austin Burke. Just going to say that right now.
You're going to love the way you
Designers,
look.
I guarantee it.
designers are probably mailing him stuff constantly, and they probably mail him like a ton of stuff at a time.
He has a
'Cause
stylist too, right?
He definitely has a stylist. He has like the best fashion sense of any NFL player, hands
Ah,
down. Name
Well, no.
Name one athlete who has a better sense of style.
Can I ask you a question
Football
as it
player.
relates to both Cam Newton and Russell Westbrook? Is eccentricity automatically a fashion sense?
It seems to be, and I disagree with that concept.
So because they're eccentric, because you would never see anyone else wear them, does that necessarily make them stylistic?
But why are you calling that eccentric? Like, why is uniqueness eccentricity?
If I were to walk around the way Russell Westbrook dresses, I would be mocked. I would 100%
yeah,
be mocked.
because
He
you're
is
Billy
being
Gill.
But if it's about the fashion,
It's about the person wearing
No,
it.
it's
also,
about the person combined with the fashion. Yes, Russell Westbrook can pull
So
off
no,
anything.
I think what we're saying is Cam Newton can pull anything off, but does that necessarily make it fashionable?
Because it's Cam, yes. I
yes,
think that's what Smetty's
he's
saying.
super confident.
Yes.
Like Lewis Hamilton, like the clothes that he wears, I'm like, this is like a very strange outfit that I would never wear. But Lewis is a style icon.
Guys,
Right.
this is simple. Chris, what you would wear, if you wore one of those outfits, you would be mocked. If
It's
Lewis
about-
Hamilton wears one of those outfits, he looks good.
It's about confidence. Like
Yeah.
Tony in
So we're
here.
basically saying good-looking people are good-looking?
Tony right
good-looking
now.
people are fashionable.
Tony right now.
If you're ugly, you can't be fashionable.
Yes.
Oh,
Tony
Right.
right now is
Yes,
wearing
don't sign on
boxer
that.
briefs. Okay, but he's confident in it, so it works.
Tony has very, very short shorts on.
Yeah.
We've taken a poll around.
it's
the
not
wearing
world.
very,
boxer briefs.
very-
He's wearing
they
boxer
are
briefs. I
John
mean, Christ,
Stockton,
man.
you know.
John Stockton size.
It's
An
not
OnlyFans
it's not
going on
very,
over here in the
very.
corner.
Tony looks good in anything.
But
And nothing.
Tony,
Oi! Goodness me.
Goodness me.
Baby.
That's not a good soccer term.
It is.
Goodness me, what a ball that is.
A baller.
So I'm not certain exactly what my stance on Cam Newton is.
Yeah.
No.
I honestly think it's just good-looking people are good-looking. That's really all it is.
I think rich
Good-looking
people are good looking.
Yes.
I think
Like,
famous
you-
people
if-
are good looking.
You can play the game. You can play the game like rich or what?
Well, that was a controversial take.
I think
Russell
what-
Westbrook
I-
is not good-looking?
I think
saying he's
Westbrook's
not
good
great
looking.
looking. I don't want to be that guy. Like I'm not
seems
good
like
looking
you
either.
are,
I'm just saying
actually.
we're playing the game. I don't think like Cam Newton
So-
is like Dwayne Wade.
Wait,
Like
hold on a
he's-
second,
he's-
Chris.
I
Hold
just-
on.
I'm just-
Smetty, do you find John Mayer to be good looking? Like, is he a good looking guy?
He's attractive, sure.
All right. I'm asking because he wears some of the most ridiculous things on stage that my daughters think are so cool. And I always say to them, if I was wearing that, you guys would be so fucking embarrassed of me. You'd be laughing at me for days.
Yeah, because you're Stugotz.
And they said that's exactly what they say. You're not John Mayer.
Right.
So is it?
so that's what it is,
So is it
Chris.
about the clothes? Is it about the clothes?
It's about the person.
It's about the person.
It's about
Yes.
the
both.
attitude.
Yes.
It's both. It's all three.
Yes.
Confidence,
I
clothes,
disagree.
person.
I disagree
Harry Styles
Because-
is another one.
because you're
Oh,
assigning a sense of fashion to Cam Newton because he can pull anything off. That has nothing to do with the clothes themselves. That has to do with Cam Newton. So he just has a sense of confidence, a sense of the ability to rock anything. It's not that he can pick out good clothes; it's that he can rock anything because
It
he's
ju-
Cam Newton.
It just happens that those clothes look good on him because it's Cam
Because any
Newton.
clothes look good
and
on
then
him.
mentally you're armed with that. You're like, yeah, that's Cam Newton.
Right.
Like,
and
he looks good,
because
right.
and because he is veering so far from the mean of what the average person would wear to work, you're like,
Right.
wow, look at his sense of fashion. But it's not necessarily about the clothes. It's deviation from the mean and his ability to rock them.
But I think Jess is saying, regardless of it being Cam Newton, he still has good fashion taste, right?
He does.
Yes.
I see him wear stuff all the time that I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm impressed that an NFL player, a sport where most guys kind of just show up in whatever they feel like wearing, he looks different and cool.
I'm coming around on 1,000 suits because he goes to the games in
you.
different suits than he leaves the game in.
Exactly.
He wears different suits getting there and
Yes.
leaving.
Really?
Yeah,
Which is weird. Should
So-
be one suit a day.
a little
limit.
suspicious.
Wait, I want to stay here for a second.
No,
Old school Greg Cody.
it should be one suit a day.
I agree with you.
You know, it's ridiculous.
How
Get
many
over
suits
yourself.
have you owned, Greg, in your life?
In my life, I've
Yeah.
probably owned, 30, but never more
30?
than never more than 2 or 3 at a time.
Right.
I once had a green suit that I never wore. Gave that away.
Mm-hmm.
Like
But,
an olive green suit?
Yeah, it was just awful.
Why'd you never wear it? I mean,
I'm not a big olive green fan. The
why'd
only
you buy it?
well, I think my wife bought it for me.
Oh,
The only
okay.
shade of green I love is forest green.
Really?
Yeah.
But don't you guys agree
Wow.
with that? Like his premise of, like enough with 2 suits.
One suit a day.
You go out in the car, you have a suit on, you come home in the same suit.
Yes.
I'm totally with you.
Greg, what are your top 5 favorite colors?
I think forest green would be number 1.
Well,
Generally go from 5 to 1,
this
but
is going to be a little anticlimactic.
I think
you want to take your time and do it again? Or?
no, I think gray.
Great.
Was that 2 or 4?
That's 5.
Black
I don't know where we
would
are.
be a favorite color.
So that's 3.
So you're just giving your top 5. They're not actually
right. They're in no particular order.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Except for the last
Except green. You already told
Right.
us.
Yeah.
number one.
Green's. Yeah. Olive
forest
green.
green.
Is awful.
Forest green.
Forest green. Yeah. Once had a friend named
What?
Forest Green.
Was that
True
the
story.
Eagles color?
Forrest Greg.
What is the difference between olive green and forest green?
Forest green is dark.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Olive green is lighter.
Massive
Yeah.
difference.
Olive
Massive
green is.
difference.
Have you
olive
ever
green.
had a
difference.
forest green
It's like a
olive in
brown
your
green.
martini?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
That would be off-putting. What other colors do I like? I like blue. I'm a blue guy.
That's my man right there.
Did you actually know someone named Forrest
No.
Green?
I did. Yeah, in high school. Green with an E on the end though, which is uncalled for.
Weird.
Excessive.
That low and green?
Why is there an extra E?
I don't know. It's like crazy.
I think Mean
Who
Joe
does that?
Green had that as well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
You're
where
right.
does
Oil
that
green.
come from?
And Kevin
The
Green,
alphabet.
too.
Yeah.
And that's all. I only like 4 colors.
Wow, your top 5, you like 4 colors.
Yeah. All the others are tied for 5th, except olive green.
Greg, I have a bone to pick with lime green.
What's that?
Well, if you look at a lime, it's not lime green.
That's right. It's darker than
Mhm.
what it's called for. That's correct.
You're picking a bone?
Bone has been picked.
Whereas a lemon
Sounds
is
like that
legit
hurts.
yellow.
All you got?
That's a good point on limes.
Anything else to add to
How come
that?
we don't say lemon yellow or yellow lemon?
What?
I'm
Lime
sorry?
green.
There are no
It would
shades
be-
of yellow.
It'd be
is his
lemon
point.
yellow.
Right.
That's it. My
Right.
bad.
But I think it's just because a lemon
We
is,
say lime.
is the platonic
What do we say?
ideal of yellow.
Lime green.
Right, yeah.
Just turn it off.
There is,
No, but
there
I
is
like,
no.
that, I like that Chris Cody can throw out an absolute dump of a comment and Whitty will find some way to turn it into an academic.
I'm trying to be a good
He's a good
teammate.
teammate.
I'm trying to be a
You
good
guys are
teammate.
falling
Right out
behind.
here.
We just mentioned lime green, so I said, why don't we say lemon yellow?
And I just and
Oh,
I,
yellow
and I in
lemon,
discussing it
apparently.
used the phrase
No,
platonic
no,
ideal.
we didn't fall behind. We just
Nice.
didn't.
You
No
guys
one
got to
fell
keep
be-
up.
No one
You gotta
fell.
keep up.
We are keeping up. No
Moving
one fell
quick.
behind. We just didn't know what to do with it. You dropped a turd in our laps.